Happy Friday. It is June the 18th, Friday. So I'm here and we're back on this Friday evening to talk about a couple of different hobby topics. I actually have a couple that we were able to queue up ahead of time, including one that we got just in the last day or so. So that'll be a little bit of fun. So let me grab a couple of the comments here right off the top. So good evening to Josh. Good evening. And a good evening to Jeff as well for joining us. Good evening. Bobby's actually around here, but we were just talking right up until the start of when I was going to hit the go live button. So he'll join us in a minute when he's ready. But a couple of different things we're going to talk about, and then we'll do the usual. We'll cover the main topics, and then we'll get into anything else that we kind of want to chat or talk about. So we'll have a little bit of fun with that. So what I'll do first is I'll get a little bit of the first topic queued up. I'll share a little thing on the screen with you related to PWCC if you haven't heard about this one. So let me pause that here, and then I've got the chat and everything queued up. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share a post on Instagram with you from PWCC Marketplace. So you might have heard this one. So good evening, Yannick. This post was pertaining to that Michael Jordan PSA 10 sale, one of the most recent ones. It sold for $180,000 and caused quite a stir as related to the hobby and everything else. So let me bring Bobby on here. Good evening, Bobby.
Good evening. Good evening, all.
So also what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up that PWCC post from Instagram, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about it because I caught Bobby by surprise a little bit on this one, but I thought it'd be good to have a quick talk about it with everybody and we can talk through it. I've
been buried deep in the Eddie Sargent 70s stuff, so.
Oh, no worries. This only came on the Instagram about an hour or so ago, maybe 2 hours ago. So it's pretty recent. So we're almost right up to the minute here tonight. So it's not too bad. So I'll quickly read through it just to give it to you guys here. So it says eBay experienced a site issue during the recent flash auction. So this PWCC's Marketplace Instagram page. And they talked about the PSA 10, which caused a significant number of bids to be blocked. I did reference this in my video a little bit because there were, even as that information came in and that sale came out and people were talking about it, some folks mentioned, hey, I tried to place a bid because they went on social media and said, like, I was trying to place a bid and I got like this error message from eBay basically saying, oh, you can't, you're, in order to protect the community, you have to go through certain things because apparently if you're trying to make larger bids on something like $100,000 plus, in some cases, eBay institutes like a secondary block. It means you actually have to reach out to eBay directly to basically open it up. It's not dissimilar to what Golden does, except Golden does that up front. They basically will allow you, if you're in the US, they'll allow you to bid to a very small number. But anything beyond that, you have to like pick up the phone and go, hey guys, can I submit some paperwork with you? And they'll go, yep, just show some bank statements. Basically prove you have the means to be able to pay for this. And if you do that on Golden, they'll allow you to do it. That's why the likelihood is you're more likely to pay. On eBay, they don't have that protection. But once it gets to a certain dollar amount, especially in an auction like this, eBay now has instituted some policies that are supposed to be for anti-scammers to avoid people placing bids that they have no intention of ever making. Mm-hmm. Because we used to get a regular rash of these like joke bids. So you get this item that would sell for $10 million. And it's like, yeah, it's not $10 million. Nobody's actually going to pay that. So eBay is trying to prevent that. But it resulted in a bunch of folks trying to bid on this potentially and all being prevented. So it actually suppressed the price indirectly. So there was a little bit of this, and now PWCC is responding to this. So they say they were unable to bid. We've been working with eBay since Tuesday night to rectify this issue. Due to a glitch in their software, they have administratively canceled the auction. So as far as eBay is concerned, this auction did not happen. So it has been removed and it has been pulled from a couple of different data tools and things like that.
So with auctions like this that go to a certain price, eBay should have a pre-approval like Golden does.
Agreed. No, 100%. Like that would be the simplest way to prevent any issues, because if you got a pre-approved bidders who are allowed to do it, then there should be no questions. If you have the means, you should be able to bid without any question about that.
Yeah.
So Paul, good evening. So Chris, good evening as well. Haven't seen that name before, so good evening. Yes, good evening, Jimos. Jeff, good evening. PWCC shenanigans. To a certain degree could be, but I'll touch on that in a second. It could be seller's remorse. The problem is some people were blocked from bidding before the end of the auction. So if you're a seller, why would you have remorse? Why would you want bids to be blocked prior to the end of the auction? Bids that would bring the price up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things like, let's put it this way. If there was to be remorse, it would be buyer's remorse would be the more likely, but seller's remorse wouldn't make any sense because the system itself did block some folks and they took their screen grabs, where they tried to place a bid and got prevented from placing a bid. And eBay doesn't gain by preventing bids because a higher auction price is good for them. eBay wants a higher auction price. The seller wants a higher auction price. PWCC wants a higher auction price. They don't want a lower one.
Wouldn't these bidders be already buying big stuff for the most part?
In theory, but it's possible that you could be define big stuff though. So imagine I go and I buy $10,000 cards. So this is not a $180,000 or $200,000 card, but let's say I buy $1 million worth of $10,000 cards.
Yep.
So in aggregate, I am a big spender. Like it's very clear that I have the means to pay for this because I'm buying all this stuff. But I'm not buying one big item. I'm buying like a bunch. 10,000 is still a lot of money, but I'm buying like a bunch of like $5,000 and $10,000 things that are adding up to seven figures.
Mm-hmm.
But then for whatever reason, there's some kind of a cap or block. It's just interesting. It ends up creating this result where PWCC is kind of left to be on the hook, where people will make that exact question. They'll basically go in and say like, hey, I don't know about that one. So the auction ended at 180,000 originally, 180K, which is what led to it becoming this big question mark for a lot of folks as far as what was going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the key thing. Because obviously now you're in the part where people are going to throw out a million accusations. But that's the reason why I want to make clear, like seller's remorse doesn't actually make sense. It actually doesn't. It's like, especially if people were prevented from bidding, it's like, no, we want you to bid. More bidding is good. That's what we actually want here.
It's not even a counter argument.
Yeah, it's like no, the seller would like more money. Yes, that part is true. That part is correct. So eBay blocking them would be directly counter to what the seller would like. And like I said, there were enough people that did come out with those screenshots that I tend to believe that error did happen to some people, and that is questionable. And it seems to be a bit of an eBay issue, and now PWCC gets to take the brunt of it. So we're gonna have to ask them.
Again. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So this one, I don't know if I'd blame PWCC on this one, but they'll take the hit. They'll have to take the blame for it for sure. Mm-hmm. So Paul here says he won a PWCC auction for far less than he thought. He would have lost, though I would have lost the auction for. Now Paul's having some issues with FedEx. This is his first experience receiving something from FedEx, and they can be a bit of a nuisance to deal with. I will say the one advantage I have now is that I do know the guy who delivers the FedEx stuff around here because I've ordered enough stuff from Ship My Cards where it's the same delivery driver. Last time though, he tried to run away. He tried to knock the door and then run away within like 10 seconds. And I opened the door. I'm like, nope. And he goes, oh, I was like, give me that. Try knocking a little bit more seriously next time. I'm right here.
Yes.
It's like, wait more than 4 seconds. This time around, he stuck around. I opened the door. He was there. He's like, yes, here you go. Thank you.
I'm always here.
Yeah, it's like, I literally work here. This is where I work. So anyway, Josh here says opinions on why they would have listed on eBay and not through their own auction. That is a valid point.
That's a big thing.
The thing is that PWCC has a couple of options. PWCC has now created its own premier auction. But if you have a card in their vault, you have the capability from the vault for a favorable fee to be able to generate a flash auction. Which, by the way, for a card like this is strategically a terrible idea. You're actually hurting yourself because you're losing out on the promotion. You're losing out on a lot of the bells and whistles that would add value and give you a better sale. Because originally, even before we knew about the rest of this stuff, or even before this came out, why would you do it as a flash auction? Like, regardless, even if everybody's allowed to bid properly, you would still probably have gotten a better price if you had just done it through the premier auction. They would promote the lot or do it through Golden or do whatever, but they would promote it. Even though it's like a PSA 10 Jordan rookie is a pretty common card, but even still, Golden would do their traditional kind of thing. Like, look, let's promote the heck out of this thing. Let's do all the usual bells and whistles. If you send it to Heritage, they would do their version of that. Like Sotheby's, like there's a bunch of auction houses and they would all make a page, do a little write-up on the Jordan card, and you'd get the full effect. Mm-hmm. And then when it came time to bid, they would make sure that people are vetted. You would make sure you get legitimate bids, and they would make sure that every bid that is allowed to go through would be allowed to go through. You're leaving some money on the table trying to do a flash auction, just trying to quickly collect some cash. And it's like, and in the end, now this thing's been pulled. And now obviously we've opened up these questions.
Yeah. Someone said, dude, I need rent money. Quick, sell the Jordan.
Well, I think that's it's one of those things where regardless, you're creating your own set of issues. And eBay would not be the venue. I'll be honest. Like this isn't a Golden commercial. I'm not interested in promoting them. But at the end of the day, like, honestly, I wouldn't sell a $100,000 card on eBay right now.
And when was the last one that went off? When was that?
What, the Jordan?
Yeah, last 10 Jordan.
Well, there have been a bunch. And I think there's a bunch with Golden right now. I think there's a whole stack of them.
Really? Ooh, that's not good.
Well, there's you got to remember there's 316 PSA 10s. It's not like it's not a tough card. It's like I don't see why you would you even Golden themselves, like, and I will give Golden credit for this. He did explicitly explain in one of his live stream things. He goes, "Guys, if you left it up to me, I would tell these guys to sit on it for 6 months." Because it's my opinion that having a bunch of them in the same auction hurts the price for all of them. And he goes, I'm not going to advise them to do that. That's a terrible idea. It's bad for them. It's bad for me. It's not good for anybody.
Sure.
My advice is that they should, if you're going to sell it, then space them out a little bit. You know, let me do one per auction or two, like at the most. Let's keep them separated, and then let's make sure we keep it, you know, separate. Because you're only hurting yourselves. But he did make the valid point. He goes, I'm the auctioneer. If the consigner says, I want you to put it on the auction, I can advise them. I can suggest. I can say, like, well, it'll probably hurt the price a little bit. But if they say, no, do it, that's it. Because it's your job to then put it for auction, even if you know it's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, you know, you're kind of muttering under your breath, I told you so. I'm trying to advise you for the best. If you get a better price, I get a better commission. It's a win-win. So it's like, it is actually in favor of me to make more money for you. So it's like we both win here if the price is higher, not lower. So it's like, so anybody suggesting that an auction house would intentionally suppress the price is like, no, that'd be dumb.
No.
They wouldn't do any. They would never advise you to do something that would hurt the bottom line for them or for you, because it doesn't look good on them. Record prices are good for business. Higher prices are good for business. So Robert here is just saying anything over 50,000 would be one of the big auction houses. Golden, Heritage, Mile High. Yeah. For me, I would, even if you have to deal with some extra fees and stuff, like, honestly, you would probably do that. Now, the other consequence of the sale, obviously, this reversal is now a big thing, but the word had already gotten out there of the $180,000 sale, and it was just another harbinger of doom on the hobby. So it's like, here's the thing: you might have posted this now, but I promise you, the circulation on this will be much smaller than the initial sale. So it's like you already hurt the market a little bit. Yeah. So that's why I say PWCC wouldn't do this on purpose to themselves. They would not.
I can see the people getting that news, and all you hear is, "Oh shit."
Yeah. Exactly.
I'd like to see that live. You know, someone gets surprised with that. Man, last Jordan just sold for 180. Oh my God, what? Mm-hmm. Quick, sell the farm.
Yeah. Well, the thing, I guess it depends though, because, like, look, if you're if this is like your one big card, obviously then you're riding on these waves. But if you're somebody who has this amongst a very large collection of like big cards, you should be theoretically in a position where you can kind of just hold. You don't really care. Mm-hmm. Like, theoretically, you bought this years ago probably, and then you're just like, whatever. I bought it when it was 30 grand 2 years ago. Even at 180, I don't care. But realistically, I can sit back and, like, you guys lose your minds. Do whatever you want. But but I'll sell when I'm good and ready. I don't need the money. And if you don't need the money, you're in a hurry.
Nope.
So Ty says here, I would sell $1,000 card at a show, and I'm like, okay. I'm guessing 1,000 plus. So would I? Question mark. But I'd sell 1,000 card on eBay too. $1,000 is not that big a deal for selling one card.
No.
I don't think you guys buy from PWCC for that. Exactly. Do you guys buy from PWCC? Not directly. I haven't. I've never registered for any of their premier auctions or anything. But I have no moral opposition. But they would have to have a card I'd want. And that usually is the problem with PWCC. It's like, yeah, they got some cards on there, but it's like nothing gets on my radar, or very rarely.
No.
And oftentimes the prices go higher than I would want them to anyway. So it's one of those things where it's like, if the price goes above where I'd want to even bother with it, I don't care who, whether it's Probstein, whether it's PWCC, whether it's whoever, for a lot of the stuff that I'm going after, if I don't have any concerns with the card itself, which I check the card, I look at the card that I'm buying. A good piece of advice is to look at the card you're buying. If you do that and you have no concerns in that regard, then frankly, I don't care who's selling it. As long as I win, the sale goes through and I get my item, I don't care who's selling it. makes no difference to me.
I noticed PWCC puts up a lot of buy it nows now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the market won't bear the open auction prices. That's what I'm pretty sure of. So you have to sort of put it out there and let it chum it around a little bit, see what is in people's heads.
Yeah, but you also have to remember if it's coming from the vault, and they do specify which ones are coming from the vault. If it's something that's coming from the vault, a lot of times it's buy it now because the seller will select that option. And it goes back to what I said earlier about the golden thing. Think of PWCC in a lot of those cases as a consignor, because that's really what they are. They're the middleman. If the seller's instruction is sell this thing, go ahead. like their job is to execute what you, the seller, have asked for. Mm-hmm. They'll get their cut at the end of the day, but you can advise them and say like, well, you might get more money if you do this. And they're like, no, do what I said. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I saw Vesna's on there today, so.
I got to make sure I publish. This is a very important Carlos tip. 36-4. Look at the card you're buying. It's a good one. It's a classic. We may want a lot of people should employ that. You'd be surprised how many people do not. It's like, did you look at the card? Did you actually look at it first? Question mark. But anyway.
Regardless of the holder.
No, seriously. Like I have bought cards even in questionable holders, usually in person. But if it's questionable holder, I definitely need to look at it. Like I doubly need to look at it, even with more scrutiny than normal, because it's like, let's make sure we're okay here. Because if I don't like what I see, I got questions. And I'm not going to play that game. But to each their own, my friends. To each their own.
So it is.
So PMNC here says, what is your opinion, if any, on Upper Deck Beehive cards? Think of completing the 0506 Crosby run of these cards. I think they're neat cards. I like when they brought back kind of the retro cons, because Beehive cards are always kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I think they're like a lot of Upper Deck brands, though. Like they tried a lot of retro themed stuff. Some of them are pretty attractive. They look nice. They've got a classic aesthetic. And the 0506 is the Crosby rookie year, so they've got some neat looking cards for sure.
I think you're a little mistaken there, Carlos. Upper Deck has tried every old set. They have reproduced everything, unbelievably.
I'm still waiting for their hockey old judge cards. Until then, Bobby, I refuse to acknowledge what you're saying.
There's no old judge in hockey. That's
exactly. But you may as well. You can probably get that design too.
Yeah, they're running out of things to do. Why not? They probably did the old judge in the baseball. Did they not?
I know that old judge has been done in baseball. I don't think Upper Deck is the one who did it though. I feel like it was one of those generic rookie brands in the early 90s. There was an old judge that came back later.
Oh.
Yeah, there was like this generic one. I have to really think back. It was like an old Tough Stuff magazines. I remember seeing it.
Tough Stuff.
Yeah, it was like this generic thing. I don't think it was Upper Deck or Topps or any of like the main players though. It was one of the off-brand companies, but they had definitely advertised it and they sold those cards. Of that I am sure.
They were doing that with the C55, C56 cards. They did the reprint sets. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
yeah. Those ones they have for sure done.
Offshoot company, what have you. Yeah.
So I think the two parts that I would put in there is that retro themed cards, I do enjoy them. I think they can show some nice designs and stuff. Crosby rookie year. I think Crosby is one of those guys. Personally, I've never liked Crosby. However, with that said, if the Pittsburgh Penguins are past their time of being perennial contenders for the Stanley Cup, which appears to be the case, they appear to be on the decline as an overall team. Malkin may go. Like there's some things that may happen with that. Crosby may lose a little bit of the attention of folks. So then that is a great opportunity for someone who's entrepreneurial or who wants to get their cards now, who wanted to collect them all along. This may be a little window for you before he gets at the tail end of his career, gets to 500 goals, retires, and then people look back at his body of work and say he was a damn good player, gold medal, 3 Stanley Cups. Like he's going to the Hall of Fame. So it's one of those things like you could do all right. You could do worse. He's one of his generation's best players. So you could certainly do worse.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like PWCC is pulling ahead of ComC. That's a lot of work, my friends. I don't know.
ComC, PSA, PWCC.
So somebody get Brent on the line and ask him if his building in Oregon can be seen from space. They probably have a machine. That's all I'm saying.
I do have his number.
Exactly. Paul here says, I'd be curious as to PWCC and their collateral loans business of this downturn, see if any foreclosures. We'll have to see, because the thing is they do, what Paul's referring to is that ComC through their vault has a thing where you can borrow against the collateral of some of these cards. not all of them certainly, and
Hmm.
it's based on the market value and all that. However, if you took that loan, depends on when you did it. If you're going to take a loan on a piece of collateral like that, you're probably going to do it on a very conservative number. And if you did it prior to the run up, your loan would actually be on a lower value, which we might still not have returned to. That's what makes me laugh about the whole downturn is that for a lot of these cards, again, using that Jordan as an example, if you're talking about the Apex, 700,000, whatever, huge drop. But if you started 2 years ago at 30,000, huge rise. 180,000 is still a lot more than 30,000.
Yeah, but the lion's share of the business didn't go on then.
Yeah, but it was one of those things. But if you go back further than 2 years, some of these cards were trending upwards for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
It was more slow. It was progressing incrementally,
Organic.
not like this gigantic leap that we took in the last 18 months. That's what's created a lot of the chaos with the numbers is that it wasn't the prior years where like by the way, it was charting upwards for years. It didn't start 2 years ago. It's like, but it got supercharged on jet fuel. Suddenly we're all powered by Doge and it was to the moon and that's different.
Yeah, I remember watching videos where guys were just throwing $20,000 cards in slabs. It's like they don't care if it scratches or anything. It's, oh yeah, I want a couple of those, and yeah, how about this for that? And this 40, 50, 60, $70,000 worth of cards being thrown around. They're a lot cheaper now. A lot.
Yeah. Just checking this one. Soon, Bobby, we'll be able to go back to throwing around $20 cards. It'll be very exciting. The $20 slab era. We can use them as poker chips. It'll be good for the games.
Maybe.
So PMN here asks, are you guys big supporters of second-year cards or earlier cards of superstars when the rookie cards are too pricey? If so, where do you draw the line? Third year, fifth year, when? I think it's an interesting question. I do get the general underlying premise. I guess my answer, though, depends on like supporters for collecting. If I'm a collector, I'll collect whatever card's interesting.
Yeah, set design if you like a certain set year.
Yeah. Some of those second-year cards are going to be appreciated in certain ways. Like we'll use everybody's buddy Wayne. His rookie card is pretty plain. I actually prefer his 8081 OPG card. I think it's a nicer looking card. That's my personal opinion. I don't think you do horrifically wrong with either, but it's one of those things. It could be a personal preference thing. However, the rookie card is a rookie card, but it's one of those things where, like I said, aesthetically, I prefer the second-year card. The second-year card will still have some value.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use a more modern player, Juan Soto, the guy that I collect. I collect a bunch of his rookies, and I picked up a couple more this week in the pickup video that'll appear tomorrow. But the thing is, I also pick up some of his second-year cards. Some of his second-year cards are nice.
Mm-hmm.
But now, mind you, I'm not paying crazy money for them. I understand like what I'm buying. I try to be picky. But when things were going really nuts, people were looking at the rookies going, it's a bit too expensive. I'll go to second year. And then the second year ones were getting a little bit of a boost. From a quote unquote #invest perspective, it's kind of silly to think about the second year ones as like, oh yeah, huge investment for players who haven't been around that long.
Yeah.
For players who've had a really long track record, for some of those guys, the second year stuff could still be limited relatively. But for modern guys, first year, second year, third year, fifth year, they're all going to be about the same.
Yeah, you're just hedging your bets that he's going to be something at the end, and you might make money on a second year card because this card goes up.
Yeah. What I would say is this: if they're truly a superstar player, and the card itself is limited, and it has some desirable elements, regardless of whether it's second year, third year, fifth year, it will still have value. I'd be if you're a collector and you want to get it before the prices really shoot up, I'd be a big supporter of looking for, low number serial numbered stuff that maybe will be more limited if the rest of the stuff becomes a bit common. And the discerning collectors who have some money go, but there's like 50 copies of that card on eBay right now, all in buy it nows.
Yeah.
As opposed to this other one that comes up every 6 months. Okay, I kind of want that one. I don't care if it's second year or fifth year or whatever. If it's harder to come by and I'm like a collector who really wants it and I have the money available, I'll go after it.
Yeah, and that's the proper way to sort of, collect, invest. So your money's not going to nothing. It's just being a little bit wiser about what you're choosing, what you're picking. If you see 10, like 20 or 30, the same cards in the same grade on eBay at one time, want to, join the fold, go ahead. But I think if you're looking for something a little different or something that's really attractive to you personally, value has nothing to do with it. So,
Yeah, but that's a standard tactic I use, and I had started earlier today. I was joking with Bobby that I'm still, even as we've gotten into summertime and all of hobby YouTube has slowed down. I'm still prolifically coming up with ideas for videos, and I haven't run out of ideas. I was playing around. I was sketching. I finished a video that came up last night and today, so it's there. I got the pickup video, which is just a pickup video. It's whatever. I'm doing the live streams and all that. But I've got another video that I'm going to do that I've developed that's going to be talking about my thought process on something like that. But instead of worrying about first year, second year, third year, I want to explain the concept of these different buckets. Because to me, and I'll give you guys the quick short version, the first bucket is personal collection. That bucket these buckets are going to determine how you're going to perceive, how much are you going to try to pay, how much risk are you going to take, what are you actually trying to accomplish. All of those things are going to be related to which bucket you're doing. And I'll explain, this is my methodology, and you can borrow that model, adjust it, play with it however you want. But the PC, the personal collection, is always the very first bucket. And that bucket has the least amount of rules, because if you like the card, buy it. If it's a personal collection piece, you like the card, buy it. It doesn't matter. The rest of it is minuscule. In these other ones, you get a little bit more discerning as you go along. Because what you're trying to do, your goals become more important, and then you adjust your strategy accordingly to which one of those buckets it falls under. And I'll explain that a little bit more, and hopefully I'll see if I can come up with some visuals that'll make it a little more interesting. But we'll see what comes of it. So quickly, I'll zip through. I know Paul was talking with PM and back and forth a little bit here, talking about basically Connor McDavid and working through some of that. So here, Yannick says, personally collect second year Topps All Rookie Cup Hall of Famers. That's a good one. I think I've got one within arm's reach. Not a Hall of Famer, but same concept. The Rookie Cup is a very favorite kind of subset for folks to collect of certain players. For player collectors, it's a big classic set to do. So I had these a while ago, and the idea was I was still figuring out what I wanted to do with them, but I'll show you guys quickly. So there's Soto. And right now, he's obviously not playing that great this year, but it's one of those things. I still enjoy the player, and we'll see what happens going along. So that's your base card. There's your refractor. You like your shiny stuff. There's your sepia. There's the prism. A little bit more going on with that one. You can see that a little bit.
It's shiny, shiny.
Yeah, and this one's actually the 3D. They got a 3D version.
Oh, I see that. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, these came in like box sets that you had to go directly through Topps. But all of these are the Rookie Cup. So if you look on this side, it's got the little Rookie Cup to it. This is all second year. Big fan of those, and it's just multiple variants. These were available pretty cheap. When things were really going nuts, though, some of these were going for a pretty penny, the second year one. But obviously, I got a whole stack of them. I was able to get a lot of these pretty cheap. Especially the 3D one and stuff like that. The 3D one is a little bit more limited. They're unnumbered, but I think there's about 500 copies or thereabouts. So not too bad. So quickly I'll zip through, just getting caught up here. Yeah, Bird and basketball cards. Player 1 MVP. Yeah. 56 Topps Mantle in vintage. 56 Topps Mantle is a very popular year anyway because the set is also very popular. It's a beautiful set. It's a beautiful set. Yep. Just quickly getting caught up here. Yeah, so Josh Harris, speaking of Soto, benched him in a fantasy team after drafting him first round this year. Yeah, that's fair. Right now, he's not playing that great. I'm looking into it a little bit more, though. I got to watch a few more games. I am hearing a little bit that he's probably nursing an injury, and we'll see if that's hampering him. But the team, to be honest, the Nationals are bad this year. So it could be a variety. It could be a combination of things. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what's going on with it. He did win the batting title last year in the truncated season, and he was playing very well the seasons leading up to prior to that. So it's one of those things. It could just be an off year. It could be he's battling through something. He could be partially injured, or he could be struggling with. All hitters will go through their struggles. And let's put it this way. He's playing badly and he's batting about 260, which is not amazing. But if that's your struggling, there's some players who can't stay in the majors because when they struggle, they're struggling to bat their weight. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my friend gets Rookie All-Star Cup signed and added the PSA registry for it. Oh, that's cool. An actual replica Rookie All-Star Cup. Oh, that's neat. Very nice Korean cardboard. Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, so the point is though, something like this, I didn't buy it for value. The idea was that I like Soto and I like stuff like this and I like Chrome, so I enjoyed them. And they were available fairly cheaply at the time that I was buying these. So for me, the fact it was second year, first year, whatever, it didn't make a difference. I buy first year cards. That's the rookie. So I've got a bunch of stuff, but it depends on why you're doing it. The why is the most important piece. Good evening, Victor. And if you understand why, everything else becomes a lot simpler, because then you know what you're trying to do. You're less worried about, oh, well, what would the market think? Well, why are you buying it? Are you buying it because of the market or because you want it? That's the question I ask you.
Both.
Yeah, exactly. If you want approval, then boy, are you going to struggle in this hobby.
Yeah, now especially.
Yeah, you are going to struggle, my friends. All right, so really quick here. So let's touch on this next little topic here that I've got. I actually had a nice little list of topics for today, so let's do that. So the next one, we got the virtual expo coming up this weekend. And by this weekend, I mean within hours. I think we are 12 hours away as we speak from the opening festivities. I think it's about right. About 10 a.m., I think. Is that about right?
I don't know.
Something thereabouts. Whatever. Sometime tomorrow it will begin.
I'm not even registered yet, so.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Those of you who are interested, it is free registration. You don't have to pay. They got a VIP version. For God's sake, it's a ripoff. Don't do it.
What was that?
Yeah, exactly. No, I was looking at it like, I'm glad they offered something. If you really have your heart set on that little upper deck set they have, then by all means. But I don't know if they're sold out or not. But if you really have your heart set on it, then so be it. But it's like, guys, it's a free registration. I'll take the free one. Thank you. I was chatting with some folks, and it's like, they were like, oh, are you going to pop in? It's like, for a little bit.
I will pop in just to see.
Yeah. I'll go around a little bit, but it's not like I'm going to rush first thing in the morning and get up as early as I can. Oh my God, to be right there until beginning of start. No, that's okay. I'll pop in. So we do have this. So our good friend Jeremy here. Now this is something that I will probably tune into because I am interested. So around 5 p.m. Eastern, Jeremy is going to be interviewing. I like that he puts on location. It's virtual.
That's what I was looking at. On location where?
Yeah, from your bedroom, from your couch, from wherever you have a computer. That's the location.
He's virtually on location.
Exactly. So sometimes it's like, guys, you're trying too hard. You're overselling this thing. Anyway,
this is going to be an interesting discussion topic. Well, look at that, sustainable.
Well, exactly. No. Here's the reason I'm saying this. I'm genuinely interested because it is a pretty good panel. Like we've got as far as discussing this topic. So you got Chris from Card Ladder and House of Jordans. You got Beckett, and you got Karvin. So the three of them are going to be chatting with Jeremy about sustainability of the hobby. A fun little topic.
If you scroll down a bit, you see Chicken Little there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, now, in fairness, to be 100% fair and transparent, so it's 5 p.m. Eastern at the expo. So when you go into the setup, there is a main stage area. That's where it'll be. So just in case you guys are curious and haven't been to one, you can find it. It's main stage. It's not complex.
No, that's actually right there. That's the one main thing.
The UI on that thing is actually very simple. I like it. It's pretty clean. I actually think their UI is pretty simple. I'll explain in a moment why I'm not like chomping at the bit for the virtual expo, but we'll get into that in a moment. So Paul found out he can attend this weekend. Awesome. Yeah, by all means, pop in. I think it's fun to look around a little bit. We'll kind of it'll be what you make out of it. So that's where I think it's gonna be fun. So hey guys, good evening. Very nice. So, yep. So 90s hockey collector. AW is having an MMA fight. Yes, that's right. And okay, so real quick, what I'm going to touch on two things. And I'll quickly say that. And then after I touch on those two things, I'm going to disappear for a moment because I forgot to set my PVR and Josh just reminded me.
Oh, no.
And, like so annoying. And I know exactly the one he's talking about here. Anyway, but thank you for reminding me, Josh, because I completely forgot to set my PVR. Because as soon as they started, usually they do it on Wednesdays. They've been preempted for the NBA playoffs. So the PVR can't recognize that it's like, guys, it's on Friday. It's on Friday. So it's like, just record the same show. It's the same name. Never mind. Whatever. So anyway, so the expo. So let me explain what the problem I have is with the virtual expo this time around. I've been to the last couple, had fun with it. It's very much a format not dissimilar to this, where you do the live streaming. My problem is I do a live stream every week. On a platform that allows recording.
Yeah.
In this scenario, it's basically you're doing it at the booth. So it's like you're doing it. It isn't being recorded. You'd have to do it yourself through third-party software or something because it doesn't allow you to record on the spot. And it's not really a podcast. It allows you to create your own personal. But in reality, you're doing it at a dealer's booth, which I didn't mind doing when I'm just hanging out for a while, which I did with a bunch of folks, which is fun. But it's like, I already have my own show for that. I don't need to manufacture this same thing unless the goal is maybe I'm somebody who doesn't do these things, and then for you it's an opportunity to do it inside of a kind of a low pressure environment where it's not being recorded and all that, which is that's totally understandable. Or second, you're actually trying to buy something.
Yeah, or sell something.
Or sell something. The problem that I have is that lately I've been going ham on eBay and I found a ton of stuff. I'll actually show you guys a sneak preview of some of the stuff I purchased recently for different categories for my amusement, for fun. Some of it totally 100% PC, some of it in some of those buckets, which I will explain in further detail later. Not tonight, but later. But I've been finding plenty of stuff. It's one of those things like there's only so much money to go around. So it's like I was joking with the person that I was asking me the question. I go, yeah, I could go to the virtual expo. I'll pop around and look and say hi and do all that. But it's like, what am I going to buy that I can't find 10 of on eBay? Most of these dealers are not going to have. Yeah.
I never heard you say ham before. That's awesome.
Oh, but it's 100% accurate. Like I have been finding stuff.
That much? Wow.
I have been finding stuff, Bobby. I have been finding stuff. A lot of fun stuff that fall into those different categories. Some of it totally PC. Some of it maybe for a while and maybe be consolidated potentially into PC items. So I've got a variety of different things. It's been fun in the sense that I will have some fun mail days to come in coming days that will be fun for me for various reasons. So real quick, I'm going to come back in a moment, but before I do, can you regale the people with any thoughts you might have though of the virtual expo? Because you've had a different experience. You've had it as a dealer, and this time around you're going to come in as a viewer. Do you want to kind of convey your thoughts on kind of how your experience in the past, and then how you think this one might play out a little bit for you?
Sure, I can do that.
Be right back.
Yeah, so I set up at the first virtual expo. What was that, 2 years ago now? I guess it's been 2 years. It's really good. I did set up a nice viewing screen. All my items were priced and going by on a separate screen, and I was sitting there talking to people. Unfortunately, the person in my position with writing books and what have you, it turned into more of a social venue for me. And I found that the cards are easier to sell than more sports memorabilia or the collectible parts. So I didn't have really too many in sales, but the best part is I did get to meet a lot of people and people I've never even seen before. So it's really beneficial in that way. I just this time I didn't set up for the reason I couldn't really justify staying home for the 2 days. I have some stuff and running around to do. So I didn't really have the time this time around. And so I couldn't really offset the difference on that. So I'm looking forward to dropping in periodically. I'd like to see what everybody has because, someone might just have some pieces of memorabilia there that I would be more interested in opposed to cards. So I am looking forward to doing it that way. I don't really know what you'll find, but if you guys are interested, it's free to join. So you may as well join and at least have a look in, and you never know what you're going to come across. And you can ask a lot of questions. Like I said, I think there's 40 dealers or something like that. And it's free, and there's a lot of different interesting events going on. I think the Jeremy interview live on location might be really interesting. Just to see Karvin and what have you. So I'm looking forward to dropping in and checking things out for a little while. And we'll see from there.
Very nice. Very nice. I didn't want to be way too long. I don't want to abandon my post. But Josh was right. They actually put it right off the top, and I was like, "You jerks!" This is the stage MMA fight was the thing that I was like, "This is supposed to be this big presentation they're going to do." They literally starting the show with it. I'm like, "Are you serious?" Thank goodness I actually knew which channel it was because Rogers has too many damn channels, and sometimes I'm like, "Okay, so which one is it on? Okay, I'll try this one. Yeah, that's the one. Great." And of course, it wasn't set to record, so I had to do it manually. So anyway, it's been done. So Dave here says it's hard having a meager amount of PCs. True. Dave, you're a testimony to the power of the human spirit. I agree with that. I think that's a valid statement. Josh here says, Bobby, is that an Atlanta Flames seat cushion behind you? It is Atlanta Flames. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually an interesting piece. Oh, there we go.
So what is it made out of? Is it just like a plastic or a polyurethane or something like that?
Yeah, so, sort of like that. I don't know exactly what you could really say it was. And it was Aaron Rentals.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess they were provided to the people. They might have had wooden seats at the Atlanta. What was it called? I forget the name of the stadium there. It's called the Omni Center. So maybe they had wood seats at the Omni Center, and these little padded would give you a little bit more protection, I would imagine. It's interesting that they're not their colors, but they're probably the colors of Aaron's rentals. So
yeah, that would make sense.
yeah, so I have this. It's a really interesting, neat little piece. I love. See, this is the thing that really bothers me is so many other hockey teams made things that I wish they did it in a Leaf, and that's the unfortunate part. There's a lot of unique things out there, and you go, "Damn, why didn't the Leafs do something like that?" But the Leafs actually we've had our fair share, and we've been around for quite a few decades putting stuff out. So I'm sure other team collectors are kind of jealous of certain things too that the Leafs did do.
I was about to say, you might be the first person in recorded history to suggest that the Leafs is like, if only the Leafs had put up more merch.
No, certain pieces, yes.
I know, I get you, but it's like,
and they can take back a few of them too that were.
Yeah, it's not like they have missed too many opportunities to make an extra buck by slapping a Maple Leaf logo on something.
Well, it's kind of funny. When I went to the games last 2 years ago, I was looking at the merchandise they had there, and it was just horrific. There was no souvenir booths. It was just overpriced. But they have socks with King Clancy and different players on them, and I'm looking. There's nothing collectible there, or reasonably priced for that matter. The best part was the popcorn. It was actually pretty good. It was like $18, but it was still good.
Nice.
Well, I got to keep the bucket too. So.
Oh well, as long as you get to keep the bucket. That was always my favorite thing with the stuff at the Dome. It's like, but you get to keep the souvenir cup. It's like a $20 soft drink. I better keep the souvenir cup.
Yeah, but it's 47 ounces. How much can you drink?
All of it, Bobby. All of it. For what I'm paying for it, I will drink a bucket.
No thanks. Yeah, you almost have to just to justify the cost.
Whatever's in there, I will drink it all if I'm paying for it.
If it's beer, I understand that for you, yes.
If it's anything else, at that point, I'll drink turpentine out of the bucket if I'm paying for it. Yeah. No, but that's fair. I think it's one of those things. And of course, we have to have our Harold Ballard reference here. Appropriate. Thematically so. You would think he would have taken the opportunity to make a buck. Somehow he must have been off that day. So one other thing I was going to say, I did catch the tail end of what you were saying about the show itself. And this is one of the conversations, and I'll leave them out of it, but they did pose it, and it was not long before the stream. And what I came to, and that was part of the idea behind what I was talking about with the momentum video. What applies to the physical show kind of applies to the virtual show, but worse. The virtual show is like, yeah, okay, community, totally, 100% true. But what you ran into was the issue that once you've done it, the novelty's gone. Once you've done it the second time and you've chatted with a bunch of folks, almost all the folks that I want to really chat with, I probably can just do that. I've got formats like this, or I can directly communicate with them or reach out to them on Instagram or whatever. Hey, you want to do a call or whatever? Like, there's a lot of things you can do. So I don't necessarily, in a virtual perspective, I don't really need that venue. I'm not opposed to it, obviously. I'm supportive that they have it, but it's one of those things where it's like a physical show. I could argue, oh yeah, go hang out with people you don't get to see face to face. Maybe the first time you meet them face to face or whatever the case. I totally buy that. The good news is that it's free. So from that perspective, it's fine. And you can theoretically see them face to face in video, but there are so many avenues now. You can FaceTime them. You could reach out to them on Facebook. Like, there's so many ways you can do it now without needing to wait for a certain event and just throw that on.
If it happened 10 years ago, it may have been more
huge.
It would, because now we have, FaceTime, we have everything now. So
I think it's still good for dealers because if they've got good rotating inventory, then it's a good opportunity for clientele to check out their stuff who can't make it out to the physical show. Yep. You could offer a lot of great things. I think that's good. And I think if you're somebody who needs certain things, I still think it's a great opportunity. I would not tell you not to pop in for a bit and check it out. But if you're somebody like me who has a very particular checklist and want list, it might still be worth looking at. But I'm so picky at this point. It's like, you really going to have to show me something interesting for me to be interested.
Well, it's interesting. A few years ago, I was thinking that, if dealers have, the physical booth, and then they could do an online, like a tune in and, hey, check out what I brought to the show. I'll show you a little bit of my booth and keep that running. And, people who can't make it to the show physically can at least look at their booth and go, hey, I didn't know he had one of those. Hey, I'd like one of those. Let's give him a quick text. And
100%. Yeah,
I think
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, I don't take anything I'm saying about it, my lack of enthusiasm for it. Do not mistake that for telling you that you shouldn't. If there is
Oh
value to you,
no.
I think you should. If you see the value, my only statement is figure out where the value is. If the value is there for you, do it. Because it's a great opportunity to still get a chance to chat with some folks, find some opportunities, and good luck to you with the family photos name. I did see it, so I wanted to make sure I put it on here. So good luck with that. I did chat with him a little earlier, and he was popping in. I'm going to get him back on here one of these times, but we got to get him done with his family photo business first. Got to make sure he takes care of that business. But yeah, no, if it's something that interests you and you see maybe some dealers that you think has some inventory you might be interested in and it's part of your want list, work with it, please go. Have fun.
You should at least check it out. At
For
least especially if you haven't checked it out, check it out. And then you know what it's all about. It just, for me, it didn't work in the capacity I needed it to. And that's fine too. But I'll still be there.
Yeah, that's
I'll
one
be
of those things.
Hanging around, bugging people. Now I can be on the other side of the table.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was just like, yeah, I'll pop in sporadically. I just don't have the need to sit down and anchor myself to the desk and be there for extended periods of time like I was the last couple of times because we were chatting. We were basically, like I said, having versions of this live stream for hours in some of those booths. But I was like, okay, there's so much good stuff here and none of it is going to escape this room. And it's like, it feels like such a waste. It doubled my efforts of going like, I should really make sure I do this on live stream because then maybe somebody down the road will get a chance to see it later. Maybe get some benefit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Okay, so that's the virtual expo. So I talked about that. So we got that covered. I got my little checklist of stuff this time around. Okay, cool. Next one. HobbyPalooza. Now, for those who are not, for the uninitiated, HobbyPalooza is actually something that was done last year. It was a kind of a virtual, I won't call it a convention. It's not the same as the expo. What it really is like a showcase of like YouTube and showcase of like creators and different things. So let me show you the website looks like. Very fancy, high end.
Ooh.
I know, right? So this is HobbyPalooza, round 2. So anyway, it's held by the Bench Clear Media folks. And what they do, and it gets a little better when we go down because they did keep the old image here. So of course, but anyway, so the concept is that it's basically a programmed series of live streams. So what they do is the website becomes the hub. And through the hub, you can go through and you're actually going to these different YouTubers' YouTube channels. And they've each got a 1-hour block where they can do a live stream where they can do whatever they want. It can be hanging out and chatting. It can be talking about certain cards. It can be opening a box. It can be doing giveaways. It can be doing question and answer. It can be a panel discussion about whatever. The point is it's an opportunity to introduce you to a bunch of folks in the YouTube sports card community that you may not be familiar with.
Because there is an algorithm that kind of directs you to certain ones opposed to others. So
correct. But this is an opportunity for somebody that may not have been on your radar screen prior. And I'm showing you guys some of the icons for some of the folks on here. And if you have no idea who some of these people are, something like this is an opportunity. So it's a multi-day event because these folks are getting their time. But they did have some corporate sponsors that did pop in. Topps is going to have a little time. Panini's going to have a little time. Go GTS. So this is Mike O, who's been here in the chat before. Elite Co 3. This is Triple Crown 24. This is Newman here. Pack Geek.
Newman,
right? Exactly. Filmington, who's done some good stuff. Silver Jack. So I'm familiar with a bunch of these folks from YouTube. Card Collector 2, who's done very good stuff. We've talked about his stuff before. Breaker Culture, who's part of the Bench Clear. I'm not going to name everybody off, but Beans Ball Card Blog, who's been here before. Kin is going to have some time on there. Andy, She Blinded Me with Refractors, who's been in the chat before. So it's like I'm familiar with some of these folks. I've seen some of them before around or they've been around here. And this is Stofe over here, whose name changes by the day. So some of these folks are, plus you got Wesker Griff, good old Crypto Griff. We got Bob Lewis, who may have been around here before previously, allegedly. So the point that I'm trying to get at is it's not just businesses. It's not just group breakers. It's not just card shops. It's regular YouTubers. Bob's about as regular YouTuber as it gets. We know from personal experience that Bob Lewis is about as regular YouTuber as it gets. So the point is, it's a little bit of a mishmash of all kinds of stuff. And if you've got nothing better to do and you just want to hang out, you could do worse because like I said, so this year it's going to be July 9th, 10th, and 11th. So there you go.
3 days. Wow.
Yeah. So it'll be that with the amount of people on there, even if you give them each an hour, you got to break it up because you could rack up a lot of hours very quickly with a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then those back pages here, who I've seen around a little bit here, like there's a bunch of folks. Diamond Yard I'm familiar with. So there you go. I will leave that to you guys. You can check it out. And I think that's Blake Jameson. I could be wrong. That little icon near the bottom there. I think it's Blake Jameson. I could be mistaken. So there you go. A variety. It's industry folks outside the industry, regular collectors, breakers, all kinds of stuff. So that is HobbyPalooza 2021 coming up in July. So we're less than a month away. So I thought I would bring that up now since that'll be coming up later on. But that's just another way that folks are trying to, if you talk about community building, that's an attempt at community building, trying to give people opportunities. And people outside of that can still participate, because some of the, like Michael last time did a live stream where he was shared the link for StreamYard and had a bunch of people come on. And it was just like, yeah, come on in and we'll have a big group discussion about whatever. We'll talk about this, that, and the other thing. Because you're giving everybody an opportunity. Maybe you don't know who these people are. Maybe you listen to them speak and you're like, okay, I kind of like what this person's saying. Let me check out their channel. And that's the point. It's an opportunity for people who may not be known to have an opportunity to get their face out there and be like, hey, if you're interested in what I'm doing here, check out my channel once in a while. I do some videos and stuff about this, that, and the other thing. That's a very valid question, Paul. I will ask the man himself, because without Chair, it's not even worth discussing.
No. It's sort of an inside joke.
But it's an inside joke that has appeared often enough that is like, we know.
Yeah.
Those who know.
Yes.
Without Chair?
You know.
Without Chair? I'm disappointed Chair didn't get top billing over Bob, but I guess the people don't know.
It's a close race.
But anyway, I'm supportive of stuff like that, because like I said, it's a mix. Card Collector 2 doesn't need any promotion. He's already doing great. He's already doing great. But a lot of these other folks would not normally get that kind of profile. So having those folks there too is really good, because it increases the profile of the event and in turn contributes to a potentially increased profile for the folks that do participate. So good for them. And hopefully it'll work out well. So there we go.
It looks interesting.
Janik says here, Mr. Bob Lewis is a regular Hall of Famer YouTuber, allegedly, and the impeachment is still in progress, Yannick. That's he is a disputed YouTube Hall of Famer at best. At best. And he knows this. He knows he's on very thin ice. Only the grace of Chair is keeping him in his position right now. That's all I'm trying to say. Bear that in mind. Be very careful. And Victor says here, he'll have an hour on HobbyPalooza. So there you go. So I didn't see you in the original list here, but it's very possible that it needs to be updated. So Victor will get some airtime on there as well. So
he's got a new name. That's why.
Oh, of course. So this is formerly All Time Greats blog, and now Victor, Rookie Card Specialist. So a little more directly branded in there. That's part of his new rebranding of the channel. But it's good, and that's the perfect kind of person who should get some time on here, because that's an opportunity for people who may be less familiar with what Victor does to get a chance to listen to him speak. And since it's programmed, when it's done really well and when they organize it well, since they know who goes at what time slots, when somebody's finishing up, it can be like, hey guys, so, thanks for hanging out. I'm Carlos, blah, blah, blah. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And then coming up next is Bobby Burrell, who's going to talk about knickknacks, because you already know what the schedule is. So you know that, hey, go check out the Bobby Burrell YouTube channel. We're here to talk about knickknacks for the next hour.
Yeah. Because you can have your lunch break and come back.
Exactly. But that's the thing. Like, each one of those live streams has a segmented period of time where people can hang out, and then you kind of encourage them to go and visit the next one and at least check it out for a bit, because then it gives other people the opportunity. Oh, I didn't know anything about it. Oh, I love knickknacks. Click. There you go.
Done.
So that's what it should be. And then when it's done well, that's how it works. So hopefully that'll expose more folks to Victor's channel and let more people see what he's been up to. So there you go, Victor. A little extra airtime for you. Good stuff. So yeah, I thought that was still worth talking about. It's not a news story, but it's still something I thought would be interesting, and that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks.
Very good.
All right. So I think that's it. That covers the main ones that I wanted to touch on. There weren't any other really big news stories this week, I would say, for the most part. So guys, what I'll say to you is, as usual, we can chat about whatever you like to talk about. We've covered the big topics of the day for right now, unless some Beckett does something crazy or whatever. And if they do, we'll keep an eye on it. Oh, and Bobby clicked himself out of existence. That wasn't me. Just for the record. So anyway, we'll see if he pops back on. In the meantime, what I was going to do is I was going to share with you a couple of cards that I picked up. So let me do a couple here, and I'll stick to a couple of different themes. So let me open up an image here. And in the same vein as what I said earlier, if there's any topic or anything in particular that you guys want to chat about, just say the word in the chat and let me know. So let's roll through this here. Okay. So this one here is pertaining to, let's see here. Did you click yourself out of existence, Bobby?
Yeah, I had another window open and I clicked and I went, oops.
That's all right.
It's not highlighted properly. Anyways,
yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So here we go. So I'll share 2 cards with you guys for now, 2 different themes, and I'll explain kind of generally what they are, and then I'll share some later on. So these are some upcoming here that I picked up. This one here, so I'll show it and then I'll explain. So this here is a Vladdy Guerrero Jr., very popular guy these days around these parts. This is actually a parallel of the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rookie card from Bowman Best. I'm actually a big fan of Bowman Best. The hobby doesn't really seem to like Bowman Best anymore. It used to be a decent rookie card for some players, but not a big fan of it. This is the gold refractor. This is the number to 50. So it's a little bit more limited piece. Now, these things have started to go up in price a little bit as the regular ones are starting to go up in price. But right now, as it currently stands, I have the base card, I have the refractor, I have the atomic refractor, and then this is the gold refractor. So later on, I'll explain what bucket this falls into, because this is sort of a PC one, but it's in kind of an interesting spot because I may have some plans for it. But for the moment, it will definitely come into the collection and join the others, and then we'll determine its fate in future days.
It's getting some press now.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I like it. I like the gold cards, a little bit of shine, and I like that it's limited. I like that it's a little bit lower print run. Those are all nice things. I like that because then it's not as common as some of the other versions where there's plenty of them out there. I'm always appreciative of that. That's always a nice feature. And then this one's just flat out fun. This one is the exact opposite of #invest, but I still enjoy it for what it is. And I'll show it to you guys. And it kind of falls into the theme we've talked about a little bit, is this stuff on and on. So any of you who are familiar, that is one of those 2020 Leafs, and this is Eric Bischoff autograph. So if any of you are familiar, this was one of the key architects of WCW back in the day, and that's an Eric Bischoff autograph out of 25. So there you go. And I like that they included an image of him in the leather jacket. This feels like it would have been, almost prime Eric Bischoff in the WCW days, or even maybe a little bit in TNA as well. But I appreciate that thematically it fits nicely. It's just kind of random. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I'd like a Eric Bischoff autograph. Sure. For a reasonable price, I'll take it. Why not? Not a #invest move. Much less so.
They all can't be.
No. And honestly, they shouldn't be. If you're a collector, you should have a nice mix. And a mix really makes things interesting for you. So Josh here says he picked up a December 1990 Sports Card Trader. The cover story was Wayne Gretzky, a great card investment. It's like they could see into the future.
Yeah.
Well, I made the joke about it, guys. Like, if you guys go back in time, in the 80s, people were buying bricks of certain rookies. That was for investment. There wasn't, but I really love Greg Jeffries. I need 100 copies. No, you're not buying a brick of that because you want, but I really, like, guys, I have multiples of some of my cards, but I'm not buying 100 copies of any of them.
No.
Like, you're not.
Well, I know a lot of guys, one guy just asked me today, he says, I have this brick wrapped in, it's kind of cello almost. It wasn't cello, it was kind of like a clear plastic, and you could see the corners taped really nice. He goes, is this how the factory sets came in 88, 89 for Ofici? And I went, no, I think somebody just had a vending case and did a whole bunch up in sets that way. I said, here's the box, what it really looks like, what it comes in. And he said, oh, okay, I didn't know that. He goes, I bought it assuming that this guy knew what he was talking about. I said, they just bought a vending case. So
yeah, there have been stuff like that though, like vending cases and certain like complete sets and stuff where somebody after the fact will add wrap to it, make it look nicer.
That was sort of the set. That's a factory set. So that's what he kind of showed me.
Yeah.
But it was plastic. I said, no, it comes in something like this. So anyways.
Yep. Not for sure. And the thing is, there's
that's
a lot.
Where I keep all my cards. That's why I couldn't show you the other side.
Ooh.
I'm not hiding anything special.
Good times. Okay, so Josh here asks, also curious if either one of you know, in an article, they listed blue chip hockey cards. This caught me off guard. 64-65 Marcel Pyle. States a super rare post-war card. So 64-65 would be the tall boys, I think.
Yep.
Marcel Pyle, Is there anything special about that one?
Uh,
Not to my recollection. The name doesn't ring a bell to me, but I know the tall boy issue. I just don't remember that card.
I think it's one of the short prints. Or is he? I'll tell you in 2 seconds.
Sure.
See, everyone thinks I have this mind that can just come up with all these quick references, but for some reason, he's always been a tough card. Like, there's no short print because we found both sheets. Actually, it was kind of funny. I'll have to find that too in a second. But the Marcel, so see, I like price guides. You can just flip them really quickly and find your stuff. There we go. So we have Marcel. He's in the second series. I know that.
Yeah. Robert here says he's a short print and frequently off center.
Yep, there he is. Yep.
So just a regular short print?
Yeah. Well, there's only so many short prints, right?
No, I get you. But conventional, basically a short print in the series is kind of the big claim to fame from that particular one.
Goalie, short print, rookie card, all of the above.
Yeah. And also at the same time, it's a pretty interesting series. Like I said, I'm a fan of the tall boys. I like them. I like them.
Oh, I was looking for something here.
So Robert here says, height of the junk wax era, he bought something like 100 Andy Ben as rookie, but also Barry Bonds, Riddle, Alomar, Larkin, and Griffey, so he did okay. Yeah. So for some of those latter guys, it's much better. Andy Ben is not so much, but that was the key. It's like, funny enough, if you pick good players, even in the junk wax era, you'll do better than a lot of other folks getting a lot of other things. But that's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. Oh, yeah. So here is the one picture I have of the tall boy sheet.
Okay. Hold on here. I will shift it over. Go ahead. Yep, I can see it. Okay, that's cool. Nice. And
so that's the second series.
Yep, and then you got Gordy 4 rows down and about 5 cards in.
Well, here's the short print row right through the middle there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So it's repeated here and repeated here, and the middle across there. So Marcel, he's right. Tim Horton. So he's not there. I thought he was a short print.
Super extra short print. He's not even on the sheet.
I think it's the other sheet. Yeah,
okay.
my mistake.
Gotcha.
Okay.
No worries. I got you. All right.
There's a nice box. 54 full box. That's a real full box.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. At least it's nice and colorful, so that's pretty good. So here, I'll grab a couple of Hockey's comments here. And good evening, Hockey. So as far as content goes, there isn't much to talk about. Not much industry news. The last 2 or 3 weeks is probably normal. I agree with you, but that's why I really wanted to focus my attention on a lot of the videos. I really want to focus on the attention on kind of more general think pieces or evergreen topics, like hobby philosophy, hobby strategy, things like that. That's more general. It's not reliant on, I need Beckett to do something. I need PSA to do something. I need whatever. But I think part of the other problem is that content-wise, a lot of folks are so dependent on news that if there's no news, they're like, what do I talk about? I don't know anything. Well, there's your problem right there. It's like, well, you have nothing. You have no background knowledge to draw from. I can discuss strategy because I spent a lot of time thinking of strategy because I've been collecting for 30 years. You can spend some time working on strategy if you've been employing strategies over time. At least you can discuss them. But if you've been here for the last 20 minutes and all you do is talk about whatever's hot, it gets really difficult.
Here's another box, a 61-2.
Okay, so this is 61-2?
Yeah.
And this is Parkhurst or Topps?
This would be Topps.
Okay, that's Topps.
So I owned that full box at one point.
I like the colorfulness, to be honest. I like the red with the yellow there. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they did the hockey pucks the next year. They just made everything green and yellow, and they kept the same design. Well, obviously they changed the stamps, but to bucks. And then here's a 57. And I owned that box a long time ago.
They should have sponsored it by Icy. No, look at the color scheme. Like, that's the Icy color scheme, I think, isn't it?
There you go. There's all 3 of them on.
Okay, nice.
It's on a famous person's pool table. Before I ended up with 2 of them.
Nice. So, Bobby, this is a critical question. Hockey asks,
yes.
Your top 5 cards in your collection going up this week.
Going up where?
This is like a hot 5, Bobby. This is like a hot 5. In the downtrend of the economy, do you have any cards that have gone up?
No, I don't think many people do they?
I would say that Guerrero that I showed you probably went up because Guerrero's playing well. Like
Yeah,
if a specific player is doing well, probably yes.
If I had enough cards to cover that question, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I think
I got a Morenz and I have all the other, Hamilton chewing gums that I picked up. But
what I'll say is that a lot of those cards, one of the advantages has always been with a lot of vintage is if it's legitimately rare, sometimes it won't go up, but it also won't go down because it doesn't sell that often. So it's one of those things. It'll be like you'll have an entire wave and it'll skip it because it's been 2 years since one is sold. So it's like you had an up and a down wave and then another up wave and then it's sold again.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of them skip it.
I did pick up Royal Dessert, Red Kelly.
Okay, nice.
So that was the side of a dessert box at the back, actually.
Somebody needs to figure out how to cut a straight line. They cut off half the text.
They were folded so close to the edge, the natural folds. Kid tried to get his scissors in there. That's why they go for so much money. Nice. Well, the Hauer really does well, but
I get it. Seems reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking a look here.
Yeah, pulling a lot of cards out. Wow, amazing.
I was gonna say we're almost gonna start thinking you're a card collector or something.
Almost
starting to wreck your reputation, Bobby.
I can wreck it and put it right back.
Exactly. So Robert here says cards increasing in value. His 53 Bowman color star cards are still on an uptrend. The Mantle just set a record for PSA 5. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they're always.
Yeah. You're going to do. That's what I say. Like I say tongue in cheek, but at the same time, it's like if you take iconic cards or really nice cards. Like I said, that's why I love my early mid 50s Mantles. You talk about a 53 Bowman color. Like, have you guys looked at the card properly? Like actually looked at the card? It's a beautiful color photograph. It is a beautiful looking card. It is legitimately a great card. And if that's what you've got, pretty easy. It's attractive and people stay interested in it over time. That's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very difficult not to. It's very difficult for a card that is one of millions produced in a year to hold the interest the same way.
I have heard there was an uptrend on the vintage cards.
Yeah, and but it's in the same vein. Like certain ones are going to have much stronger reaction to it than others because if the money stays in the hobby, it has to circulate somewhere. True. If people are scared of modern, where are they running?
Oh yeah, vintage.
So it's like. And the money shifts back and forth, and that happens a lot. Be right back in 1 sec.
Yeah, no problem. But anyways, what I did pick up this week was this is getting back to what I usually like. Oh, that was too fast.
No, I literally wanted to quickly sort through and see if I had it. I thought I had it. I thought it was just funny that he brought it up. So there's your 53 Bowman man.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. So this one's a BGS VVG one. I want to get an upgraded copy of it. This one's not too bad, but the back of it is real beat up. The back is the problem.
VVG is a 1?
Yeah, this is a BVG 1.
Oh, I thought you said VVG.
No.
Very
BVG.
Good. Okay.
BVG.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Beckett's attempted foray into vintage grading. That's right.
Whatever they did with that, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, trust me. I already gave the story of where they mislabeled a bunch of my vintage and I'm like, you guys are idiots. At some point, I'll probably swap I swapped a couple of the other ones out to PSA, but obviously I couldn't do that right now. I still like the Mantle. The front on this one, I'm still pretty happy with, but I'll probably upgrade it because I would like one that's got a little cleaner back. That's my preference.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, look, I just want to have a 53 Bowman color Mantle. Like at the time, it was just let me get one in my hands.
Is that a set shot or an action shot, like a real shot, or is it?
These are all pretty much set shots because because they had to set them up and they were all at the in and around the same stadium.
Yeah.
But color photography was new for them in 1953, and the expense was off the charts. And if memory serves me, because they also had a 1953 Bowman black and white. And the theory is that they were going to have a second series in color, but they basically ran out of money. They were like, well, we want to have a second series, but it's like, we can't afford any more of these color photography. So it's like, so we'll do them in black and white. No one will know. It's like, yes, we'll know. You can tell the difference.
The top shows up going, hey, we got money.
Well, Tops and 53, remember, they did their paintings.
Yes.
And I would say the success of 52 really led to the strength of 53. Because in 53, now think, 53 was when they were their most competitive. Bowman came out with 53 Bowman color, and Tops came out with 53 Tops with paintings.
Yeah.
Both beautiful sets, iconic sets of the era. That was their best head-to-head competition out of the entire run. Because they both came out with strong sets that year. Strong sets. But that was basically the beginning of the end for Bowman. At that point, they were like, yeah, we can't compete. not at this point. So Boston Kid says, hi all. Good evening, Boston Kid. I'll quickly touch on a couple of these here. What are your thoughts on Sports Card Investigator's video advising people not to go to the National? I referenced that in my last video. I thought it was a very good video, and I thought the thought process was good. I had actually reached out to, I've spoken to Andy before, and he's a good friend of the channel. I do chat with him on Instagram a little bit here and there from time to time. Once in a while, we'll exchange the odd message here and there, and I basically and he thanked me for mentioning the video, and I said no, it deserved it. It was a good video. I got a chance to check it out, so I thought it was good. But I did mention it. My overall thought though is that you don't have to go to the National, and it's the same as what I said the virtual. If you have a good reason, you want to hang out with people, you want to do all that, do it. That's awesome. Why not? I see no issue with that. He was looking at it from the perspective of, if I'm a guy who's a collector, but who also buys some cards and thinks about maybe selling certain cards so that he can get into other cards and then get some PC cards, when I go to the National with hotel, with accommodation, with flight, I'm already $1,000 in the hole before we even start. So if my goal is to make this a reasonable or profitable venture, I need to find stuff that makes sense. If the dealers don't want to move, if they're hesitant to make deals with me, then I'm not really getting my money's worth here other than hanging out with people, which is cool, but you're already paying a ton of money for that privilege.
Yeah, I think there is a great fear that people are scared of dropping comps, and they're not, as in a few other videos, they're not representing the comps properly, where they're just going, well, the comp is kind of down. Yeah, but I'm still holding here. I'm going to stay here because I'm not going to go with the past couple sales. Well, if the comp goes down again, then where you start, yeah. It's
a problem for the dealers, because the dealers need to make their money, because it costs them good money to set up at the show and to do all that. I understand. So it's one of those things. I'm not unsympathetic. I do understand, but at the same time, it's like, that's part of the cost of doing business. But as a buyer, I'm very much in a similar camp to what Andy was saying, is it has to be worth it for me. The expo is worth it for me because, yes, I get to hang out with some friends. We get to chat. We get to have a pint together and enjoy, grab some food. Great. But I'll also hang around the show a little bit. I'll walk around and look at stuff. So it's like, it depends. But for me, that's in my backyard. So like, my travel cost is nothing. And the hotel is optional. I don't have to do that. I could just go home. I do it because I want to be comfortable and I want to make my transition easy from day to day. So I could actually reduce my costs even more by just not doing that at all. But I'm comfortable with it. But then flying all the way to Chicago, paying for that hotel, dealing with all that stuff, on the off chance maybe I'll find something interesting. Yeah, you're hanging out with people. It's like, yeah, but there's a lot of avenues to hang out with people and chat with them now. It's got to be there's got to be some value to the show too, in addition to the hanging out with people.
I heard there's a lot of dollar boxes going to be showing up there. So
one would hope. You'd have to find some value out of it. So Josh says, thanks for the explanation. Awesome. No worries. So Robert here says, also lots of people hold 50s cards very long term, so few available relative population. Yeah, that's fair. Sure. Most 53 Bowman photos were taken in New York. Yes, that's right. Some were in spring training. For example, the Feller. Yep. And on YouTube, if you guys are interested in that series, there's a YouTube channel called Bowman 53. And he actually does a profile on a bunch of those cards because he was building the set slowly and methodically over years. So he made very high quality videos talking about the different ones. And when he finished the series, he did a nice a video encapsulating the process and explaining certain things about certain cards. And he was building a nice looking set. Not like a super high-end condition set, but a very clean set with good centering. So he was showing you good examples of a bunch of the cards that he meticulously built that set brick by brick until he finished. It's a good looking one. And actually he's very good at making high quality videos. So he was able to make a very good looking video series to go along with it.
Yeah, that's important.
Underrated cards. I'll touch on that in a minute. think that's an interesting topic. The National seems more like summer camp where cheaper seeing friends and not feeling left out. Yeah, but that's what it is for a lot of folks.
Yes.
PMN says, I had to bring up the 53 Bowman color, one of his Mr. Regrets, pass on a perfectly centered PSA 5 for 1K at the National in Cleveland about 8 years or so ago. About 8 to 10 years ago, you could have gotten a lot of these in nice condition for good prices. That was around the time that I got my 52 Bowman mantle and around the time I got my 53 Topps mantle. And those ones are nice for the condition and much more affordable than they are today. We've discussed those before. How will Gary be able to do anything at the National? Will be surrounded by bodyguards. If he attends, yes. If he attends, he would be wise to have them. Yeah, regrets. I've had a few. That's right, Paul. Yeah, so Ty here says, Carlos, you want to see blood in the streets? Yes, I do, actually. Like, I haven't hidden this from anybody. Like, you guys are talking about a correction. No, I want to see blood in the streets. I want to see people, like, have to sell their houses because they can't afford it. Because if you're that invested in the cards, you deserve this. Like, if you're overextended on cards, you deserve this. You really do. Sorry. Not sorry. You're responsible adults, allegedly, make responsible decisions. When I get to do that video with the buckets, I'll explain where there's room to take riskier plays. There is room for that. But you have to understand the riskier plays and strategize accordingly. You can't just throw all your money at 1,000 to 1 odd, play and hope for the best. It's like, well, I'll become rich or you'll lose everything. You can make those long shot plays, but then it's got to be proportional to the level of risk you can tolerate. And you've got to be very smart about when you decide to take a gamble, because it is a gamble at that point, versus something that you've at least got a little bit more equity built into because you already have a better idea what's going to happen next. And there's a big difference. Some of these, it's going to go up, maybe not 1,000%, but it'll go up over time. And if that's the case, it's a lot easier to put some money down, because it's like, you're not going to get rich today, but in 5 years or 10 years, you're probably going to be pretty happy.
Or not.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. But if you did a good job with it, you're probably not going to lose all your money. Whereas the super high leverage, high risk one, it's like you either hit big or you lose big. Mm-hmm. The other one, maybe in 10 years, it stays stagnant, but then you really haven't lost anything. You kind of broke even. So it's one of those things. And that's not the worst thing in the world. That's not a terrible outcome.
Yeah, I know. I heard a couple guys talking about Gary Vee and how he was doing. I looked at the Vegas Day video again. It was interesting. I went back and did a little searching back to see when, I think it was February 17th when Vegas Dave posted that, 2024, that he said the hobby was going to crash or what have you.
Yeah.
But he was actually very right with everything he said.
The thing, though, is, but what I've said already repeatedly, we haven't crashed yet. I joke with Ty about the blood in the streets. We haven't crashed yet. You got to fall below the previous number.
Understood. He said it would crash by 2024.
Yeah, it's like, so I'm waiting. I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to buy, Bobby. Let's do this. I want a real crash.
Well, you have to wait till 2024.
I guess so, yeah. But my point is, like, I need the real deal. I don't need the fake sort of crash. Like, work with me here, man. Work with me here. I need the real thing. This is the wussy crash. This is the garbage crash. I need the real one. Right now they're complaining. I don't care about their complaining. I want the one where people have to sell their houses, sell their children, sell their dog, and then still they're broke in the street. Then we're talking a crash. Okay. Until then, I want dust bowls, Bobby. I want dust bowls. When I get dust bowls, we're talking.
Yep. I'm not so concerned, just as long as hockey's okay. And it seems to be doing just fine. Some of the things are down, of course, but that's mostly the 80s stuff. All the other stuff wasn't really affected. So if you're into hockey, you're good.
That went up too high for what it was, for its relative availability, where it made absolutely no sense and there was no real justification. It's getting its correction. It's getting a real correction. It's getting put back closer to where it was. By the way, it's still not there. For a lot of that stuff, it's still above where it was. So it's like when we at least reestablish equilibrium with where we were 18 months ago, I'm more willing to have this conversation. But for a lot of the folks, they're being unnecessarily dramatic. True. Maybe they lost a lot of money, but I can't help you with that. You overpaid. Like, that isn't my fault.
No, you are in the gang of everybody jumping in and saying, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Exactly. And where are you now? Nobody's posting videos. Nobody's doing anything.
I am. I'm doing both.
Comparatively speaking,
I get it.
The buzz is gone, and how does it come back?
Oh, sure.
Really?
Yeah.
It can if everybody thinks everything is down. Now, yeah, it's certainly above where it was a long time ago, but most of the people who came in late, unfortunately, late for dinner, you don't get any dessert.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. And I think we'll have an opportunity to talk about that. But as you well know, on Saturday at 5 p.m., all the answers will be given.
Yes, I will be there for that. Live
for that one, I will be paying close attention, my friends. Oh yes, I will be paying close attention to that one. Okay, so real quick, PMN's comment for average Joe collectors. Setting experience aside, it is not worth the fun. Speaking of the National, I did catch the later comment. I understand what you were trying to say. The National and shows of that ilk, unless you have a Grail card set aside and are willing to overpay. Yeah, and that's kind of the underlying. When Andy made that show, when Sports Card Investigator made that show, he was basically saying that for his purposes, and this is important, for his purposes, it didn't make financial sense. He never said the National was bad. Nope. He never said people shouldn't go. He just said, for what I'm trying to do, this is not the best use of my money. Yeah. Which is a perfectly reasonable, rational, adult thing to come to if it doesn't make sense. If you're like, I just want to hang out with my friends, come hell or high water, then go. Go with my blessing, my child.
It's a guy's weekend.
Go with my blessing. Please go. Enjoy yourselves. Report back your findings.
I would go. If I was in the U.S., I would go. But
yeah, for sure.
Being in Canada, the flight, it's just so much.
Yeah.
And $2,500 later, I got to meet some friends.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say, like, I'm not rejecting the premise out of hand. All I'm saying is everybody's got to make sure they understand their own situation. Like, understand this money that you're spending, you're not getting it back. Unless you are a wheeler and dealer who knows how to flip and take it. If you can make it a profitable thing for yourself, well, then great. But there is work involved. There's a lot of work involved in this. It's not like you just walk in and they just hand you money because you showed up. That's not the way this works.
Did I see a video? I don't know if it was an old one or a new one. I was surfing around looking at something and it said, how to turn 5 into 65.
That was Sasha's.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Is that recent?
Yeah. It was one of his most recent videos. But it was basic. That was, that plays into what I was trying to get at earlier. Sasha has done as good a job as anybody while Bobby's dying slow death over there. Sasha has done a good a job as anybody at doing content. But when it gets very difficult, and by the way, two things. I believe Sasha is still probably making money on some of those deals on some of the other cards he's making. He's got ways of making money out of it because if you buy low enough, you can make money on it.
Yes.
Now, do I think it's as easy as it once was? Nope. I think it's gotten 1,000 times harder. Do I think that video was made specifically because, look, we got to have some content to put on here? It was like him just screwing around with a camera so that they could have something.
That was not the something to do. I would say that wasn't the correct video to show.
There is no correct. If he's showing what he's actually doing, it is a very slow, tedious, methodical process. It's talking to the same people over and over again and going through lists of cards because it's not. You can make when people are wheeling and dealing and actually moving money around, you can make it look sexy. You can edit it in a way that makes it look interesting. The day-to-day grind of just getting through people talking down $100 or $50 for an hour is not an exciting piece of content, but it's probably more realistic. He's on the phone talking with, hey, you have this card still? He goes, yeah. What do you want to do with it? He goes, it's gone down quite a bit. I don't know if I can move with it. It's like, look, I have a buyer for it. If you could take this is what I can do for you, or I can trade you this, and we can do that. And then 2 hours later, they come to a deal where 5 cards change hands. That is not an exciting piece of content to put on YouTube, but it's realistic. And in the end, he probably makes money on the deal, but it takes so much work just to do these relatively small deals.
I get it. I think if you were a content creator, I think you could come up with something a little bit better than that. I'm not going to put it down too much, but I just looked at it and I sort of laughed. I went, why am I even watching this? For $65, I'll pay you to not watch it almost. It's just sort of, come on.
I will take that deal.
Let's do some content here. You can do better than that. And there's lots of other things you can do. And if it's all about making money in cards and big, that's fine. But once you run out of your content and the market's down a little bit, and you're doing, let's make $65.
That's my point though. I think that video is basically an admission that he goes, when I can't show you a lot of these big deals, like, guys, this is the only content I can offer you. Because Sasha's good at doing basically spending hours and hours and hours working on these deals to get these small margins to work on it. And he's still working on that. But he goes, guys, this is not exciting. You're going to see me on the phone all day long, just trying to make a couple extra $100 on a couple of deals.
Yeah. No, I understand. And Sasha was great when the markets were great.
Yeah.
The markets are not great.
It's going to be a struggle. The struggle will be real.
It will very, very much a struggle. And that's what I got from it. So I'm sitting there going, okay, see, I guess once you get away from the cards, there's no history. There's nothing else behind it. It's just a fake facade of plastic and card and money. And that's investing. And that's not a hobby. That's not even part of the hobby, guys. It's far and away. You guys want to do that? You had fun? Look what happened. There you go. Enjoy. Now, if you want to get back into the hobby and enjoy something, have the hobby. If you want to invest too, that's fine. Have fun, invest, and collect at the same time. But if you're a pure investor, they come in and they wreck everything in every marketplace that they've ever come into. GameStop. We'll get into all that other stuff. You can talk about it. It just, the greed of money just ruins everything.
Bobby does not subscribe to the greed is good philosophy or Gordon Gekko. So quickly, I'll get caught up on the comments.
No,
that was a fun movie.
Because I don't want to see the hobby being hurt on the bottom end. Like, I don't want to see people leaving the hobby. It was great having everybody in there, and I was kind of excited. And yeah, you guys want to pay that money, go ahead. But we're all having fun here. And then as soon as it's down, like everyone's like, oh, everyone's slumped over in their chairs, going, well, I got the dollar boxes left, and let's watch me make $65. Okay.
We'll get back to that one in a second. I'll quickly get caught up in the comments here, guys. People also mentioned you can network at the National when you're networking. If you're dealers, it makes more sense. Collectors can network. It is possible because here's what I'll say. If you're going to go to the National to network, assuming you're not a content creator, let's remove that from the equation for a second. Assuming you're not. You could network because maybe you're collecting certain things that are a little tougher to come by, and it would be good for you to get in touch with folks that collect similar stuff to you because maybe they know a guy. Sometimes in the face-to-face conversation, it keeps you in the front of mind so that let's assume a collector perspective here. Let's say I'm a huge LeBron James collector. I am one, but I have money. I have deep pockets. There's certain pieces that may not be available to me. This isn't the stuff I can go on eBay and buy 50 copies of. It's not that stuff. It's the stuff that comes up once in a blue moon. Well, you're probably going to do collector-to-collector deals if that's what you want. So if that's the case, then it helps to know a guy. So maybe you just talk to some folks and, hey, this person is part of a LeBron collectors, Instagram group, a chat group. Oh, and he knows a couple of the guys that have a couple copies of the card you want. Some of them may be interested in doing a deal. Maybe you have something they want. You don't know them personally, but you've corresponded with this other person a little bit. You meet at the National, you chat, you hang out, you have some food, you have a beer. And then by the time the conversation is over, you're a little bit chummier and they say, hey, I can tell Bob I can chat with Bob a little bit. If you're interested in maybe doing a deal for this, maybe he'd be interested in that. Connects the two of you together. You get a chance to talk. Bob turns out to be a great guy. You have a great conversation there. Bob didn't make it to the National. So indirectly, you got to Bob from somebody else that you were chatting with who happened to know him. Now you can actually get this deal and you get this wonderful card you wanted. That is possible. That is the more collector-centric version of this networking thing. Because sometimes if it's certain items, the only way you're going to get in is you got to know somebody.
Yeah, it's networking and who you know.
100%.
Sure. It's all about that. But that's been going on since the beginning of collecting. So.
Yeah, but that's a way you could network in that venue because you never know who knows who and you never know what circles people run in. And if you are able to chat with a lot of folks, you never know. Eventually somebody can come by and say, hey, I heard that you collect this. That table over there has one of those. You walk by it, you missed it totally. They tip you off. You walk over, you make a deal. That's possible. That's a way you could do it. So thank you, Boston Kid. I'm trying to get caught up. We're about 15 minutes behind on these now.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's gotten pretty far back here.
It was my rant that Drew ran.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a rant. It was actually just the truth.
Yeah. Okay, so got caught up here. So I remember the Cleveland National many years ago, there was one vendor who had prices reasonable. For example, mid-grade, 25 cents, 75 baseball comments, and everyone crowded his table. Yeah, 25 cents, that's pretty good. All of the tables were overpriced, reminded me of the National at Macy's prices of card shows. For vintage, one of the ones that I used to look at is there used to be a show at White Plains that used to have some decent vintage. I don't know if it still does, but it used to. talking about my Dust Bowls. If you guys know that reference, if you want the strategy on how to survive in the hobby now, read The Grapes of Wrath. Anyway, it helps to have a classical education sometimes, Bobby.
Yes, it does.
Okay, I sometimes feel like everyone bought into the snake oil. Yes. My cardinal rule: never buy what is hot. Buy what people are ignoring. Yes.
That would have worked out well for a lot of people.
It's not a terrible strat. Look, I've said, collect what you want. I gave those examples earlier, those cards I bought. I'm not buying those wrestling autographs because everyone in the world is going to want wrestling autographs in 6 months.
Maybe now.
Some of them may. Here's the thing, though. Some of those folks are on TV now doing stuff. So maybe it could be the case. But that isn't the reason why I went after them. I said, oh, these are kind of cool. I hadn't heard of them a couple of weeks ago. I came across them by accident. So then I go, I'd love a Ted DiBiase autograph. That'd be cool. Yeah, I'll buy one of those. I remember Jimmy Hart. That's awesome. Dual autograph. I'll take it.
My wife is watching all the documentaries. She loves it.
Yeah. That's why I say, like, for me, it's like, that's awesome. I'm enjoying it. So that's why, because I'm enjoying it, it makes it more fun for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it happens to do that and somebody desperately goes, I must have it, I will pay you $200 for it. Okay, fine. If you want it that badly, good to God. So anyway, here we go. They're just chatting with each other. No worries. Just want to make sure here. I still don't know how many people that collect sports cars. Some people feel the hobby is still relatively small. The hobby is small. Like I've made this joke a million times. The hobby is small. We're inside of this insulated thing. So when it expands, people feel like, oh my God, the hobby is everywhere. Trust me. I go to Main Street America during the height of the hobby boom. A lot of the people don't know what you're talking about. I don't care how many times it's on the news. No one watches the news. Just saying. Yeah, Bobby laughed out loud. Sash T 5 to 65. That's right. See, that's how you know we were a couple of minutes behind. That's how I'm getting caught up now here. Yep. All right. No problem. They're talking about back and forth. CNAC 22. Absolutely not. Atlantic City. Nope.
No way.
2023 it is.
Vegas.
Oh, I told you, Bobby. Vegas is the dream. The dream.
It's the dream for everyone because it's so cheap for Canadians, for everybody to fly to Vegas. It's very expensive to fly everywhere else, but Vegas is a cheap flight.
I want to go back to the Wynn, Bobby. I have a card with my name on it. They miss me. I need to go back to Vegas. That's all I'm saying.
I've never been. So
wonderful. Wonderful. All right, skipping Chicago this year. Understandable. If Sasha loses that Pokemon card, all the small other ones will be a moot point. Yeah. No, that's fair. He's got a lot invested in it. Love Chicago. I got you. All right, Triggerfinger here says, Sasha T is running out of content like a bad comedian with 7 minutes left in the stand-up with no material. Yeah, but it plays into what I said earlier, and we're almost caught up, so I'm thrilled. What I was saying, though, is that a lot of these guys, and I don't blame them. I like Sasha. Like, you have to understand, like, I actually like the kid. Like, I have no personal issue with him.
Me too.
My point is, it gets very difficult to build much. His content strategy was built upon this market that was flourishing, that was hot. When it's hot, it's easy to crank out. He was cranking out multiple episodes a week. Now it's like every couple of weeks and it's a struggle and he has to do 5 to 65 just to have something to do. It's basically like, honestly, all it was really was he's like, okay, let me try to make a challenge of something. Let me try to screw around here. But here's the thing. All he was doing is browbeating his dealer buddies into buying and selling cards. It was like it was a browbeat. You realize most people can't do it that way. Strategically, that is not a viable strategy for people to repeat unless you want to get kicked out of the show. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work. So curious if you think this market crash. It is not a market crash. I actually feel like I almost have to like fight people on this now. It is not a market crash until we fall below the previous price.
It's just correction.
Yeah, like here, a lot of people I think struggle because there's no definitions out there. Here's my definition. This is the only definition I need. We'll use the Jordan since we love the Jordan. The Michael Jordan, before this huge run up, was in the $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 range, in that range. When the Jordan falls below $50,000, come back to me, and then it is officially a market crash. Until then, if somebody had bought it at $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 2 years ago, they're still making money today. That is not a crash. It is a crash. You know what a crash was? 2008, when people gave their keys to the bank and said, I would rather you foreclose on the house than me paying. That is a crash. That means they were not willing to pay one dime more. They weren't even willing to negotiate. They say, You take the house, all yours, see you bye. That's a crash. When Bank of America went from like $100 a share to $5 a share, that's a crash. That's a crash. Mm-hmm. It eventually rebounded, by the way. If you had bought it at $5 a share, you did awesome. But until then,
with everything. But see, a hobby is different than the regular market.
I get it.
There's
But
so many
I'm giving points of reference here, though.
Sure,
I'm trying to define what a actual crash is.
I'm not contradicting you. I'm just saying.
No, totally. But if somebody bought at 700,000, to them, this is the end of the world. It is the apocalypse. It is the 4 horsemen are arriving. That I understand. But they're wrong. It's for them as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Why'd you pay 700,000? You're an idiot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
But for everybody else, I promise you, there are some folks that have been holding this Jordan since it was $5,000. And they're just sitting there cackling in their chair. They're like, look, man, I don't care.
I'm good.
I've had this card for 15 years.
Yeah.
I bought it when it was $5,000. 180, 150, whatever. I'm ahead.
There's too many people invested. And I think that was the sad point of the hobby. It just went a little too crazy too fast. Yeah. But like I said, my trinkets are still doing good.
There you go. I'm not picking on you, Bank. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to use your example, though, to make the point, because I've heard it so many times. I'm like, guys, it's not a crash until it goes below the previous mark.
Yeah.
Bitcoin has crashed. That is a crash.
Mm-hmm.
That is a real crash. And that's happened multiple times in the past.
Yeah.
And that's for that market, it's normal. But that's a real crash because you can actually go below the previous number, even temporarily, and then it moves back up. But that's a super volatile market. This market is pretty volatile. But again, using the Jordan as an example, below a certain price threshold, some people will just refuse to sell. And if there are no more sales below that threshold, you won't get back to the previous number. And then you don't ever get there.
When was the last time Gary Vee talked about cards?
It's been a little while. I don't think he spends too much time chatting about it anymore, but it's one of those.
Well, he sure did before.
He had more time before. He's working on NFTs right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. A lot of people spend their time obsessing about Gary Vee, and I understand. Like I said, I actually enjoy Gary Vee's stuff. But the thing is, what we have to understand here is that the man doesn't actually do cards for a living. It is one of a multitude of things he does for fun. He's screwing around. Here's the thing. Gary Vee isn't talking about cards. He owns a network that has podcasts on cards. He doesn't need to talk about cards. He has people for that.
But he did it himself for a long time.
Sure. Because at that point, he was like, this is my Twitter. I can do what I want. And he did. Until he kept dealing with a bunch of people whining to him about it. And he goes, fine, I'll stop talking about it. Why isn't Gary Vee talking about cards anymore? If he talks too much, people complain. If he doesn't talk about cards, why doesn't he talk about cards anymore? Make up your mind. What do you want? Do you want him to give you picks? Do you want him to not talk about cards? Do you want him to show cards? Do you want him to not show cards? What do you people want?
I don't know. You could put five minutes a day into some.
I guess, but that's the point I'm trying to get at. Like,
some to reinforce, what you've done in the past.
Sure. The thing is, I promise you, he's sitting on a pile of of certain cards, but if he starts sharing that, then everybody, you're manipulating the price. Well, just showing you a stack of what I've already bought will manipulate the price. Mentioning its name will manipulate the price. So it's like, so what do you guys want me to do then?
Yeah.
I've still bought it. It doesn't change reality. I'm still sitting on a stack of these. And at some point I will do something with them. And then what are you going to do? You'll cry about that too. So here I have 10-pack fresh centered, sharp cornered, no snow. 1990 OPG premieres for PSA, right from the January sub. What will be worth in return? How few 10s I'll get due to their new stingy PSA 10 policy.
I heard about that. A lot of people were complaining about the 10s being very stingy with the 10s of late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you remember, we talked about it on here. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're being stingy. I think your 10s are not 10s. I think a lot of you who are attacking me, it's like they're being stingy. It's like, so you know what? It's one of those things I would love in those situations. This is where the show would be helpful. I'd be like, okay, great. Show me the card. There's a flaw here, a flaw here, a flaw here, and it's off center. That's a 9.
Yeah. And all the other 10s that went by are still the same too.
I understand. But what if it's not a 10? Like, what if by definition it's not a 10? If I go look at the definition, look at your card, and it doesn't match, then it's not a 10. What I said earlier is that my opinion is that they've got a bunch of new hires, and I think they're following the letter of the law. I think they're following the exact, because the definition is published.
Yeah.
The only way I'll accept your argument, I don't want you to tell me you think it's a 10. I'm happy for you. I want you to look at the definition, and I want you to look at the card, and I want you to double check. And if it meets all those criteria, go yell at PSA then. By your definition, this should be a 10. But a lot of the people that are doing it, their centering is borderline. They're like pushing it right up to, because I think it's 55-10 to 60-40 on the front. And they're pushing it to like, yeah, but they're pushing it to like 59.5. They're like, how close can we get to that edge? Technically it meets. Okay, pull out the ruler then. Let's see. Is that true? Are you sure?
Where's the micrometer?
The ones who complain about that, I promise the card is never 50-50 center. It's never 50-50 centering. Ever. But it's packed fresh. That doesn't mean it's a 10.
Everything packed fresh is a 10, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bought stock and vape and went down to 0. So what? It's a free stock. There you go. That's spirit tie. So I had a large stack of 40 peaches in hand and only picked out the best, well-centered. I understand. I'm totally with you. I can't judge that without seeing. I don't know. So we will see. Yeah, I know it has to be only 60-40. I'm 100% in agreement. I understand. I have to see the card. Because everybody who doesn't get a 10 complains about not be their card is a 10 for sure. So it's one of those things where I think, like I said, I think a lot of folks submitted a lot of cards, and I think they think all of them should be 10s. They all have the exact same opinion that you have, and you could very well be the exception to that. But we got to take it card by card. If we want to evaluate it and really confirm that when it comes in, let's get some high-res scans going on there. Let's do it. And then we can talk. Let's look at those edges. Let's look at those corners. Let's look at that centering. Let's verify it and make sure it's right. And then we're talking. Fine. Let's do that. Until then, I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
I guess.
So Beans Card Blog. Good evening, Ken. The grading experts should start their own grading companies. Yeah. Everybody and their brother is a grading expert.
I'm apparently not.
Yeah. Yeah. If they do it in Vegas 2023,
I'm there.
that is the year of my 40th birthday. I am in.
Ooh,
Double bonus score.
I'll even bring cake.
Oh my goodness. It's like, Carlos, did you go to the card show? Again, the cards that I'm dealing with are being shuffled by the dealer. You deal with your peasant cards. I don't care about that. Yeah, no, I get it. So PM and I understand your skepticism. We didn't have them. No, listen, I trust your judgment. I get it. Let's see what happens. Report back your findings when you do get back in. Report back your findings. Let's find out. Because like I said, I've just seen enough videos. I will say to you, I've watched videos of PSA submission reveals where people have went on rants. But even from the video, which is sometimes not great, it's not the best lighting, it's not the best. So I can look at them and go, I'm borderline on some of those. From a grainy video that is poorly shot, I'm still borderline. From here, it doesn't look right to me. I'm like, they might have accurately graded it. You might be upset, and I understand that, but
there's fewer 10s out there than people assume, I think. Even the graded ones.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's a lot of 10s that shouldn't be 10s now.
That's what I said, even the graded ones.
Exactly. Yeah. Like to think, and imagine if in the hobby, one day, we eventually get a Gretzky rookie in a PSA 10. The first one in history of the hobby. One.
An official one?
An official one. An actual 10. Go for it.
Okay. We'll see in a bit. No, I got to go for...
No. Go ahead. So, yeah, report your findings back. Absolutely. I think what the problem is going to be that you're going to have with that card is when you get them back, we'll have to look at the pop report because it's already really high. The problem with, now question, I know you said O-Pee-Chee. Do you mean O-Pee-Chee regular or O-Pee-Chee Premier? I'm assuming it's Premier. That's usually the common one they'll talk about. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of 10s already. It's one of those things like it's not a rare card. And at a certain point, I keep wondering like, who's the buyer on this stuff? Because it's like, you guys don't already have complete sets? You guys don't already have raw versions of the card? You don't already have an already existing 10? I understand why you sent it in. I'm not blaming you for that at all. But what I'm saying is I keep wondering who these buyers are. Who are these fresh buyers who need PSA 10s of this card when they were available for years? It wasn't a 10. I had a 9 for years. That 9 was given away for free. If any of you remember, it was called thepit.com. It was an early attempt in 2000, 21 years ago now. They were attempting a basically graded card stock market. And as a promotion, if you signed up, they would send you a free card. And I got a PSA 9 O-Pee-Chee Premier Yammer Yager for free. It was free. So when we hit our absolute apex, I sold the card for maybe $100. I got $100 for a free card that I got over 20 years ago. But they were common as dirt. They were giveaways. They were just throwing them out. They're like, yeah, here you go, PSA 9. The 10 is a little bit rarer, but it wasn't that much rarer. So for the 10, it should be over 100 still, I would think. I genuinely don't know. I just don't know who the buyer would be. Yager's an all-time great, but his career's done. It's established. We're long past that point. I genuinely have no idea. It's a great question. I'll take other opinions on that one. I'd be hard pressed to call it over 100 or $200 at that point. If there's any question or anything borderline, the car should be graded down. Yep, I agree with that. I agree with that. You mean the third one? Not sure about that one. I have to refresh my memory, Josh. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Literally gave away 9, which is worth around $20 a year before the pandemic. Yeah. They were common as dirt for the longest time. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Good evening, Steve. Good evening. Yep, then the PSA 10 hit 1K in 2020. Yeah, no, for sure. There was a while there where it was going crazy. I think it'll be a little while longer. Not too long. A little while longer. Oh, Steve, thanks for saying hello. If you do, I think we're going to be on for a little bit longer. We won't go too much late tonight. But if you want to pop on and say hi for a couple of minutes, feel free to use the link. You already have it on your end in the chat. So let me know. Your call. We're just kind of hanging out at this point because we don't have too many hobby stories. We're just chilling. I think PSA 10s are going for, yeah, sorry, I read that comment already. Here we go. The 1990 O-Pee-Chee Yager is sort of like the 89 Upper Deck Griffey. The pop is so high on them, in my opinion, the price of the PS10 is reflection of hype. Shoots up the hype, crashes half. Yeah. And the 89 Upper Deck Griffey in that same vein. Lots of them. The Yager, lots of them. I think fans of the 90s would do well to have one in their collection at some point. You don't need to keep them all. Oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about. No, Josh, no. The next PSA 10 Gretzky will be the first one. There are 2 in PSA 10 holders, but they're not gem mint cards. They're in holders. I still have a lot of fun with that one. I don't think any of the current Gretzky rookies in PSA 10, I don't think any of them are PSA 10. Speaking of overgrading, I don't think any of them are 10s. To be honest, a couple of them I don't think are 9s. Just saying. Let's see here. I love our Yager rookie cards, but few care about his rookie cards. Yeah, because they were printed in ridiculous abundance. If they had restrained themselves a little bit in 1990, that 1990 rookie class was one of the greatest of all time. So many great Hall of Fame players, great players, even players who had a good run, being pretty high-end players at the time in the 90s. But the thing is, they printed it into oblivion. O-Pee-Chee Premier is a really nice-looking set. It's a very clean design. It's a good, some nice images on it.
It's pretty.
They printed lots. They were tons. So it's like, it happens. Yeah, no worries.
They were short printed though back in the late 90s, and
well, that was in the era. That was in the era where we were going on rumors, like people thought, and it was basically based on some people were hoarding stacks of the cases and stuff. So it probably felt like it was short printed relative to what was available for some folks. So then kind of became a self-fulfilling prophecy. They think, oh yeah, I can't find any. Must be short printed. It's like, well, no, you can't find any because the person in your town already hoarded them all and has them in the garage. The problem is there's lots of people in towns like yours that also have cases and cases and cases in their garage.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. Money aside, which you all think I'll think more often. 90 O-Pee-Chee says beautiful loaded with rookies. Agreed. Yep. 100% agreed on that. Buy the holder, not the card. Yes.
I just looked at Sasha's T 5 to 65. It was 19K.
No, it's some people will still watch. Like he isn't making so many videos right now. If he makes a video, regardless of what the subject matter is, he'll still get some views. Yeah. Because he's still got a lot of residual momentum from what he was doing before.
Of course.
But there you go.
Not like that, but there you go.
That's all it is.
That's the best thing you said all night.
I know.
That was a good one.
So is the 89 Griffey still considered iconic? Here's the thing. I guess it depends on how you define iconic, right? Because I think a lot of times we associate iconic to value.
Yes.
When I think of the 1980s and I think of the early 90s, that 89 Griffey is like, it comes in my mind immediately. It's one of those cards that immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
I have to consider that iconic. The value is irrelevant. It's secondary to what it represents. They printed too many. Like that hurt the value. But Griffey was a superstar. Like at his apex, he was a superstar. And it was an up-and-coming company. Upper Deck was getting themselves on the ground with it. It was card number one. It was huge at the time. I have to consider it iconic.
Yep. And it was poised at the right time. Timing is everything, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's aesthetically, it's probably the most interesting version of the Griffey rookies at that time. And there's some good ones. I enjoy some of them. But some of them are just not that pretty. Some of them are like kind of like 89 Fleer, kind of plain. It's got its charm for me, but it's not very attractive. A lot of those other ones have very similar issues. Like they're okay. 89 Donruss has some centering issues. So that's an issue as well. It's just tough. It's, but if you think of late 80s, it's hard not to picture the Griffey rookie, the Upper Deck one. It'll come to mind.
Were the Canadians in the playing tonight?
I believe they were, yeah.
Who won?
I think based on this message here, I'm going to say
Canadians.
I'm going to guess it's the Montreal.
Wow.
I'll confirm. Let me look. I'm on look now.
I got a message from somebody who said, damn. So I went, uh-oh, what's that mean?
Yeah. They won in overtime. They beat Vegas in overtime.
Boy, they're just skimming by when they're beating them, eh?
They're hanging on. Hey, listen, I'll give them the credit for hanging in there.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. For me, I have no horse in this race. I'm good with an interesting Stanley Cup final. I'll take it. If they can give me a fun final, I don't care who's in it. Personally, I'd rather not see Tampa again. Could you spare me Tampa? Outside of that, though, look, I'll take any other combination of the three teams that you want.
And I'll take a 7-game.
Sure. Yeah.
I love a 7-game. I hate when they just dominate, and it's why even bother?
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out. Like if Montreal can get to the final, good for them. I'm happy for them. The Islanders would be funny though. This would be the first time since the 80s that the Islanders like. So this is how you get back to the final.
This is it. COVID Cup.
Let's do it. Look, let's do it. Whatever. Let's do this. I think the people. I'll take a Montreal Islanders final would be hilarious because they're like, one of you has to win. Oh my God. Either a Canadian team will win for the first time in 28 years or the Islanders. Either way, I'm entertained. I don't care. Either way, I'm amused. It does. Both storylines work for my entertainment value. I'm good either way.
Does Robert still have those boxes?
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Hoarding them. Yep. Price shot up the first 3 months of availability. Fell for the admission, bought 12 boxes. I still have the boxes. If you've got the sealed boxes, those still definitely have some value. The sealed boxes.
What are they up to now?
I genuinely don't know.
To 500, and they dropped back down a little bit, and I haven't looked at it in a month, I guess.
For the sealed boxes of OPG Premier?
Yeah. 550. They went up to almost 6. And now I'd like to know. Maybe 3?
Looking.
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard.
Last up unopened box. Fixed price sale for 10.
What?
Let's see. Quote unquote estate find. 360.
So 360? Okay.
Yeah. There was one at 500 about a week ago. Most of them in the 350 range.
Okay.
Yeah. Just depends on which mechanism you use. By the way, guys, for some of this stuff, I would use a buy it now with best offer.
Yes.
You can sometimes do better. Auction, you won't do so well. Most of the time.
Oh, don't auction, please.
Yeah, like for some of this stuff, don't do it. You leave too much to chance.
Yeah.
I remember the year Peach Premier Baseball came out in 1990 and Beckett skyrocketed. Yeah, it was 1990. I think was the first year of baseball. And Beckett skyrocketed the price of those cards with up arrows, and it plummeted quickly due to high supply. Wait a minute. PMN. I was told that Beckett did not manipulate prices.
Yes.
Up arrows were manipulating prices. By the way, not intentionally, just so we're clear. I want to keep the hockey record straight. They were clear, if you were paying attention, and nobody was. they were clear that the point of the up arrow was that it went up from last month. Not that it is going up, is that it went up. Last month it was 100. This month it's 125. Hence an up arrow. But everybody interpreted it as it is going up.
It's going up. Grab it quick.
So everybody interpreted it that way. If you read what it said, they would tell you the up arrow means this. Like it said it there. But no one reads it. No one paid attention.
The up arrows were, they utilized them for quite a few years, and then it just stopped. In hockey, I know it stopped. It was like one every 3-6 months, you get an arrow here, an arrow there. But in the first little while, they were just up and down, up and down. Well, not too many down, but there was mostly ups. So interesting.
Well, I just found it very funny. It was amusing to me that that the issue you had, and that's the reason I brought it up and had fun and poked fun at it, was that one of the I want to say maybe it was Ziggy doing his video, and he was talking about he was doing his interpretation of the content that Beckett gave out of the Dallas show. And one of the things they were talking about was the content thing. And basically Beckett saying, they never gave investment advice because the wrong thing to do is what he said, which is a very noble thing to say. And I want to make clear, I don't believe that Beckett and the magazine people ever intentionally said, buy this stuff.
No.
But because I don't believe for 1 second they intentionally tried to do any of that. However, their approach to doing it, which made sense to them, and I get it, hot list and up arrows. It's still going to do it. Even though you're not trying to do that, simply by all you're doing is acknowledging what has already occurred. You're reporting the past. You're not reporting you're not projecting to the future, but people still interpret it that way. I go, since it went up last month and it's still on the hot list, therefore it will go up next month. I must pay more for this card. It's like, no, that isn't the way you're supposed to interpret this data. That isn't what they're actually saying.
My friend used to buy the magazine just to see the up arrows.
And that's a very normal thing.
That was it. The articles maybe the odd one here and there, but he was an up arrow kind of guy. I said, you're spending money. You're losing money on the up arrows.
Yeah. But that was the thing, was that the point that the reason why I bring it up is that I'm okay with him saying it now after the fact. But it's disingenuous to suggest that he, without doing it intentionally, I make clear this caveat, lest I be accused, oh, you just hate Beckett. No, I don't care about him one way or the other. Doesn't make a difference to me. But I believe that he still accomplished that same task. And I believe if he says he didn't see that at the time, he's blind. Yeah. So it was still resulting in the same thing. Even though you weren't necessarily trying to do that, you still inflated and pushed. And in the end, simply by having that information there in that format, it motivated people to spend more, therefore increasing the price. Therefore, you pushed the engine forward. The building was already on fire, but you threw kerosene on it. You made the fire bigger. You didn't start the fire, but you accelerated it.
Yes.
So you threw some accelerant in there. So I can't give you all the blame, but I also can't pretend you're innocent. You're not innocent. You were involved. So PMN here says Beckett was the YouTube hype machine before YouTube. Basically is what we're getting at. BCCG was the ultimate symbol of Beckett greed to give a lot of dealers a 10 slab, which yes, it was.
It was the worst thing I've ever seen them do. Almost.
It's okay though. Beckett loves the hobby. Anyway, so Jeff says, question for fun. How many O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookies do you think have been graded since March 28th? I assume he's got the answer, so we'll take a stab at this. Since March 28th by PSA, shortly before the shutdown, how many have been graded since? So all Gretzky rookies that you would submit would fall under that tier. Because if you got a decent, even a moderate grade one, even a crummy grade one, it's still over $300. It would still be worth comfortably enough to send it. I'm going to say 1,000.
I would say a little bit more than that.
Okay. What are you feeling?
About 2,500.
All right. I'll go with 1,000. Bobby will go with 2,500. If you've got the answer, Jeff, feel free to share it. I don't know the answer, so.
Neither do I.
You're saying guess, so I'm hoping you have the answer.
Or maybe he doesn't.
I was going to say, that will make it awkward. You say guess. It's like, how am I supposed to check? So those errors had massive impact on car prices. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, if you're at the magazine,
since March 28th. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm wrong with that number because I misread it. Okay. Since
March. So it says 480. Okay. So still not as high as what I was going with, but my number wasn't like a terrible number, but yeah, okay. But almost 500, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I just reread it, and since March 28th. Yeah,
since
20.
yeah,
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
How many did they grade? Let's go back and you figure out how many they graded back in, let's just say, March of last year to March of this year, like in that 1 year period.
I don't know how you would pull the data though, because when you do the pop report, you've basically got the current. So I'm not sure how you would break
that's
it
right.
down.
You'd have to have that record back in that time.
Yeah, you got to have some kind of a data point to pull from, and then be able to go going forward.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose there is ways to do it, but I'm not sure what they are.
That'd be interesting though.
Yeah, be an interesting exercise.
That might be easily 2,500.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, there's been a bunch of Gretzky's graded. We know that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the point is this one though. If you're Beckett and you're paying attention to prices the way you say you are, which is your entire existence for being, when you have to be able to see the correlation between you put an up arrow on this and then the market continues to heat up on this card. It goes on the hot list and the market continues to go up on this card. It doesn't take much. Correlation is not causation. That is that's an important thing to remember, but you have to be seeing that every single time you put one of these cards on the hot list, it keeps going for a little while.
Yeah.
It's like, that is not a coincidence after a while. It's kind of not an accident. Okay. So he took a screenshot. Okay. Gotcha. I figured a lot of Gretzky would be great after the $1 million Gretzky. No. That you remember two things. One, a lot of them were already graded. That's important. Number two, a lot of the ones that were really worth grading had already been sent out for different things. But also number three, yeah, the $1 million Gretzky sold, but a lot of people are real cheap. Even if they think they have $1 million card, some of them delude themselves. They're convinced that there's $1 million card, but they won't pay $300 to get it graded.
Yeah.
And also, if it is $1 million card, you're not paying $300.
No,
you're paying like $3,000 or like whatever because the 300 is up until a certain price point. I think it's $5,000 is like the maximum cap on that, or $10,000 or whatever it is. But then depending on how much it was worth, you get upcharged all the way to that level, and that can go into the thousands.
Yeah. So I guess with the fluctuating price, that's interesting how they would charge you the last 400 and how many was there, he said. That price would have fluctuated quite a bit, right?
Possibly. It's one of those things, though. What time would they put like a time cap on it? Because when PSA, if it's sitting in the box, if you're sitting in the box, that's one time. When you take it out of the box and put it in the system, that's another time. When you get it actually in the holder, that's a third time.
The third time.
Could be. But
because that's the actual grade.
Could 100% be. I genuinely don't know. But this issue here becomes a problem because then you're going to be paying in some cases thousands of dollars. If you have a legitimately $1 million card, a couple of $1,000s is the cost of doing business. You have to understand that. That's part of the deal because you're getting tons of value. But in the meantime, at that moment, you're getting this massive charge because PSA doesn't charge you until they actually do the grading. So you sent it in. Oh man, it's been gone for a year. I hope you're ready for the charge to come in.
Yeah.
When the moment comes, the charge will hit you.
I wonder if they can retro back pay that so they can get out of it. Hey, the market, by the time I got my card back and you graded it, like how long ago and took you how long to ship it?
I think there's some folks who are legitimately trying now to weasel their way out of some of these cards.
I don't think it's weaseling out. I think they should stand up behind something. They're the ones who closed it down and delayed the market price. If they actually charge on a fluctuating market price, they should stop that too at that certain point in time, or when you get your cards released, or whenever. If you're, 2 months behind, and in 2 months it dropped down substantially, then that's a loss on your part by their fault.
No, I get that. But I think one of the areas that is creating a lot of problems is not on the high end. The high end where people lost some money, I totally get that. I totally 100% get that. But what about the folks that were sending in all those $5 cards that shot up, they sent it in trying to cash in, and now all of a sudden people don't like base cards anymore and they're worth $5 again. Yeah. But you have to pay the grading fee and they're like, I don't want to pay that. Sucks to be you, my friend.
They're not $5. Then the market crashed.
No, that's exactly it though. Like it was a $5 card when you sent it in.
I know.
If it had graded a PSA 10, maybe it would have been $100 under the old system. But now, okay, great. You've got a PSA 10. I'll give you 10. It cost me 20 to get it graded. Oh, this sucks for you, doesn't it?
30.
Whatever. The point is like you're not making your money. The point is you're losing money.
Plus shipping.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah.
I'm happy with SGC. They graded my cards in like 4 days.
No, I agree. My only point with SGC, I've been very clear on this issue. Look, here's my problem with SGC. If I'm sending vintage, I'm good to go. Yeah. Because then it makes sense. Like SGC is actually really good for vintage. I like it. For anything but vintage, not so great. Because the problem is, let me use an example. I showed you a couple of those Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cards. Some of them are appreciating quite nicely. Unless you get an SGC 10, the market doesn't like them. You can actually get great value buying SGC 9.5s and SGC 10s because for modern, it doesn't like it. It's a real nice card, but the market doesn't like it.
Yeah, I understand because it's so dominated by PSA at that end. People don't want to shift the holder change.
Yeah, but it's on the buyers. They have to make their own decision but here's the thing. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a chicken or the egg thing, right? You want people to respect SGC. The buyers have to respect SGC. If the buyers respect SGC, then people will send in more. The reason you got it back in 4 days is because even with all the advertising efforts, they got together with Sports Card Investor to do bulk grading through them. All these moves. They've admitted they can only do 4,000 cards a day. They're not backlogged, which is to say they're not getting the big submissions. It's not happening.
No.
If it was, one of two things would happen. Either A, they would suddenly raise the price again like they did last time when for a moment they got to serve. Beckett is closed, PSA is closed, and they're not backlogged.
Well, like you said, with modern cards, most of the, I think PSA was loaded with modern cards. And if people aren't going to do the modern cards with them, then that makes a lot of sense.
No, totally. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to give a practical example here. I have a bunch of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. cards that would actually do quite nicely if I was able to grade them. I have the option to send them to SGC. But to me, even if they all grade out nicely, the value proposition of me spending $30 to get it graded, and maybe I make another $35 on the card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I'm spending 30 to maybe get 35 out of it extra. But I spent 30. Or I could just sell it raw.
Yep.
So it's like, so that's not a great value proposition. That's an awful value proposition. No, so it's like, so it's one of those things like, it's not like I lose money if I get the grade I want, but it's like, okay, so now I have to send it to you. I have to wait for you to grade it. Now you're getting good. You've got a really good turnaround time. So that's great. The holder looks nice, but no one cares. The market is not reacting to that. So in theory, this wonderful turnaround time should be amazing advertising for SGC. People will be like, oh my God, I should send all my Zions to SGC right now. 5,000 of them. Nope. Not happening.
Nope. And that's fine. And I think they know their business, and that's what they're doing. And then, there was a lot of shift off from people who were sending in vintage cards to going just with the modern cards, and that was where a lot of shift off went. So I think they did lose a little bit of business, SGC on that end, where people were sending in all the bigger stuff, and they weren't really sending in the regular stuff that they normally would send in if the market was so-called normal or not going up as fast as it was. Modern cards. Yep. So
no, I get it. So yeah. So here, PSA only upcharges, never downcharges, regardless of this company business, right? They would never downcharge. Also, who would put in the wrong amount to overcharge themselves? In order to them to downcharge, you would have to be like, yeah, this is a PSA 1, so I'd like to pay the amount for at least $10,000 cards. And like, why?
And those are the people who are complaining there wasn't a 9.
Exactly. So anyway, this is Robert's general thesis on this. If SGC continues to provide better service, including more reliable grading, then PSA, the resale value will eventually catch up. This is the prevailing theory. SGC is not a new company. They've been around for 30 years.
And they're still around.
But my point is that their reliable grading has been one of their hallmarks for years. we have to remember what you as a collector care about and what the market cares about, the people that are spending the money on this stuff. I won't pay a premium for an SGC card. I know how reliable they are. I understand that they're accurately graded. I will not pay a premium as a consumer. Mm-hmm. If a dealer puts the card in front of me, if they put a SGC 10 and a PSA 10 card in front of me, I know I will pick the better card as a collector. As a collector, I will pick the better card, regardless of which holder it's in. With the two of them in front of me, I'll make that decision. If I am then going to subsequently flip this card, I'm going to take the PSA one. Or if I take the SGC one, I'm going to offer a severe discount over what the same PSA one will be.
Or crack it and send it into PSA.
One or the other. But my point that I'm trying to get at is that I'm not rejecting the premise. What I'm trying to say is that if I'm the buyer, I have to understand that SGC does not command a premium. So the value will never catch up if I do not treat it that way. You're saying that better service, more reliable. Why would I still pay extra if I don't have to? The market says I don't have to. I don't have to now. I'm not going to do it just out of the goodness of my heart to improve the resale value. True. No, I'm gonna offer you less. Oh, but this is an SGC 10. Yeah, I'll offer you half of what the PSA 10 is. Take it or leave it.
PMN's got a nice comment there.
Yep, I got it.
It's kind of true.
Yep. And it's part of the reason why I mentioned, though, that PSA, in addition to the complexities it creates for them, it is going to be super problematic for them to ever, because there's too many nuances. If I've got a borderline card and I get a 9.5, it's actually worse than in some cases, almost worse than getting a 9.
It is. Isn't it funny?
Yeah, like you're in this weird middle, nebulous zone. I bought a Vladimir Guerrero SGC 9.5. I've shown it on here. Mm-hmm. I paid $25 for it. A PSA 9 will cost more.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice card. It's a really nice, the grade is very nice. Like, it's sharp. It's nicely centered. It's a good piece. It's just shy of a 10, but it's real, real nice. But I paid a very low price for it. It's barely over it's less than what a 9 would cost me.
But how do you think the grade is?
No, I'm saying I think it's graded very accurately. If I really wanted to take a stab at it, I could probably crack it out and I'd probably have a shot at a 10.
Oh. And
it would increase the value. So I actually think it's very nicely graded.
So it's undergraded at that point.
I'm not inclined to argue with it. I'm not inclined to bother. That's more of a PC piece. Like I was happy to pay $25 for it. It was very, very reasonable. Like it's already in the holder. It costs you more to put it in the holder. So as far as I'm concerned, I basically got the card for free. So I was like, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no, weird kind of way. Yeah.
Well, it's not weird. It costs you $30 to put it in the holder.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, like even to do it right now, like it's $30 just for the piece of plastic.
If you
so the seller lost money. Doesn't matter anyone presented.
But he got a couple good grades which offset that, so he wiped it off, and there you go. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, I always have fun with Robert on this one. They've never been a major player in Ultramodern. That is very true. And if they never find a way to be a player in Ultramodern, they will go out of business. There's only so many vintage cards to grade before people are like, yeah, I don't actually need to grade this card. You don't need to grade every vintage card. It's not necessary. Just took the punch and bought the VIP ticket for the raffle ticket. I hope you're joking, Paul. If not, I'm amused. Okay, it may take 5, 10, 15 years. Add an extra 0 to the end of that. 150 years. But the market is always irrational, but it can become more rational over time. Oh, you, sir, are not paying attention to the market. The market does not become more rational over time.
No.
BGS also has done very well in the resale of Ultramodern. At times, it has done better. Beckett has struggled too, though. You can get some bargains on Beckett. You really can, because the market doesn't respect Beckett in all cases. It depends on the item.
They do well with modern too, though.
They can, yeah, they can.
Oh yeah.
And I can give you. So this will be my last card that I'll showcase here. That'll be incoming. Stick on theme. So there's a BGS 9. Juan Soto. And this Juan Soto is the pink refractor, which is a parallel to the rookie card. So a little bit more limited than the rookie card. It is a nice looking card. This one is 9.5 centering. So nice. 9 corners. Okay. Edges 9. Still good. And surface 9.5. Solid. But that is equivalent to a 9. But I got this for substantially less than what a 9 would go for.
Good.
Yeah. So Beckett, you can get it at a price. You can get it at a price level where it works out. And I negotiated with the guy a little bit back and forth, and he came back with probably the most reasonable counter. He goes, look, I can probably go a little lower, but with fees, I'm really getting killed on this one.
Yeah.
Because with eBay, you have to pay like 10%, 13%. And I'm like, I sell on eBay too. So I'm like, all right, I will be somewhat compassionate, because at least you made an honest point. That is a legitimate point.
Yep.
Because for what we're talking about, okay, it's not an insignificant 10, 15% is not insignificant for that card. I get it.
Yeah.
We weren't that far apart anyway.
You
So
negotiated anyways.
yeah, I'll throw a couple of bucks back your way. That's fine.
Do we want to look at that Vesna?
Yes, we can in a second here. Let me just finish off here. I'll get the last couple of comments here. There's too much splitting hairs with grading. Pick a whole number and let the consumer decide if it's high or low 8. That's dangerous. I don't mind it. I get it, but it's dangerous.
It's already going on, isn't it? With
Exactly.
PWCC?
Yeah. When PSA came out with half grades for 8 lower cards, it was a huge deal for traditionalists. It should have been. Understood. But there's only 300 tickets. No, you're right. You got a decent shot at winning the raffle.
What's the prize for the raffle?
Isn't it like
Live guest appearance.
wasn't it like a
on
McDavid?
location?
Wasn't it like a McDavid thing? Because if it is, that would be up Paul's alley. I'm just double checking. Give me 1 second here.
Ah, okay.
At least that would make sense. Sports Card Expo. Here we go. Register. Let's check and see what it has. And the Sports Card Expo site is crashing. Bad gateway. There we go. Here we go. The VIP prize ticket. No. It was a winner could get a sealed box of 2015-16 the Cup. So I am partially right, though,
Wow.
because that year is the Connor McDavid rookie year. So you could get a tin of the Cup, which is worth a bundle.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pull a Connor McDavid, that's 6 figures. The McDavid's a very expensive card.
And the odds?
Well, 300 tickets.
No, the odds of pulling McDavid.
Oh, the odds of pulling McDavid? Good luck.
Yeah.
Get back to me on that.
Odds of winning, and then odds of... So the permutation of that, and then...
But I'll say, though, there's a lot of nice cards in the Cup usually. So if you get like a good... okay, let's say you get disappointed. Oh, I didn't pull the McDavid. What if you get a Gretzky patch or something?
Yeah,
or Gretzky auto? You're going to do okay. For a VIP ticket that costs you like $30-$40, it's not terrible. It's not disrespectful. That's decent. Okay, so here we go. They're making inroads now. Yes, they've been making inroads for 25 years. They're still making inroads. Resale Valley catch-up is slowly happening. It's been...
I think they're in their own lane. I don't even think there's any way to even criticize them. They're just doing what they're doing. They seem to be doing business, and they're happy doing it. And
no, I agree. That part I agree with. That part I agree with. I do enjoy Robert's last point, though. I've seen lots of YouTubers submitting their Ultramodern to SGC and seem happy. There's nobody else to submit to. There's no other options. Bobby Burrell submitted to SGC. That's how desperate things have gotten.
When he hasn't submitted cards for 15 years.
Yeah. In fairness, your card makes more sense for SGC. To be fair, it makes more sense. But like, if SGC went down to like $10, I'd send in my cards. At $30, it's not worth it.
I understand.
I can't do it.
I might send the Mirrens in though.
That would make sense. That is a card that would make sense. That would make total sense.
And the Red Kelly Pearl Dessert.
That would make sense too. That would be both those would be very logical cards to be an SGC holder, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It's perfect for me.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make much difference on the back end of things on those.
Well, this has always been the running joke for me is that when I do the shows and I talk about these things, it's like, guys, I have SGC cards. I'll buy SGC cards. I'm just very picky about what I'll pay for them. With due respect to SGC, I always will, whatever it is, if it's got a best offer, I will offer less. And you'd be horrified how often they'll just take it.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be like, but wouldn't the PSA or even the BGS be like double that? Yep. And I offered half and they took it.
It's funny that with the card that the Will Chamberlain, they said might have to charge me an extra customized sizing for the card to cut out but they didn't. So I was happy there.
No, for sure.
I think when they preempt you, it's kind of like, yeah, they're gonna get me. It's like, can we charge them more for something? Yeah, okay.
That's the thing. Is, there are cards where I could totally 100% understand sending it to SGC because it makes total sense.
Yeah.
My 53 Topps Mantle is an SGC card. It looks nice in the holder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no issue with that. Would I consider switching it to one of the other holders? Maybe, but there's no urgency Plus, it would cost me a bundle, to be honest, because the card is worth a lot more than when I bought it.
Now it's
now I'd have to pay a pretty penny. Yeah, like even in that holder, I'd have to pay a pretty penny to get it. Yeah, it's a 1. Just switch it over to a 1. Yeah, that'll be like $1,000 or $800 or like.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you. I'll keep it in the other holder.
SGC's good. Don't worry. I'm okay.
A card like that will sell just fine, regardless of what holder it's in. As long as it's authentic and people know it's authentic, they will pay for the holder.
Yeah,
it's fine. But not all cards. That won't work for all cards. That will not work for all cards. Yeah. So he says, my point is that they have to be playing all tomorrow. They're pursuing that strategy. I totally get it. And when the prices realign and it gets there, I don't care if a billion YouTubers. I've seen the same videos he's talking about. Oh, SGC turned it back in. I joked with it on somebody on a comment. Somebody was talking about SGC's quick turnaround. And I go, dude, they could get teleportation technology. They could turn it around for me in an hour, like a photo, like the old photo thing. They could say 1 hour grading. Even if you mail it to us, 1 hour grading, we'll have it back in an hour. Still don't care.
You remember those old places, eh?
I do. But the point is, SGC could offer that service for $10 a card, and I'm still thinking about it. It's still maybe, I guess. Okay, sure. Yeah, fine. I'm still hesitant. I'm still not like eagerly sending the cards.
I get it.
Anyway, sounds good. I did enjoy Paul's comment though. He said if he won the tin, he'd hold it in perpetuity. I would sell the damn tin then, Paul. If you're not gonna open it, sell the damn tin.
Somebody's going to sell it for you eventually.
Yeah, I applaud it. I applaud you for your strategy, but sell the damn tin then.
That is certainly worth it. Well, how much was the ticket to get into VIP?
$30. It's not crazy.
Oh, well, that's worth it.
Yeah, no, that tin is like a $10,000, $15,000 tin now. Just a tin.
Just worth a chance.
Yeah, no, for $30. It's not unreasonable. I just don't want to put any money into it because I know the virtual expo doesn't work for me. But to take a stab at it for $30, that's not 300 tickets. You got a 1 in 300 shot. That's not horrific odds.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, you could do worse.
For $30, I'm getting the premier. No,
exactly.
I like playing the odds. Hey, everyone buys. It's really funny. People are getting in line for the $70 million for the Lotto 640 or the Supermax, whatever it is. And you got to play at 70 million. I'm going, you don't need 2 million like on a regular day. It's just like,
well, my favorite always used to be Cash for Life. You remember the Cash for Life scratch and win?
Yeah.
I would love to do $1,000 a week.
Yeah, I would take. Well, you take the buyout. You wouldn't take 1,000 a week, would you?
No, I would take 1,000 a week. I have time.
I don't.
Yeah.
So
no, but that's what I'm trying to get at. But for me, it means I could then go on a consulting side of things because that's 1,000 tax free a week.
It is.
That's actually more than I make salary wise after taxes.
Yeah.
So in reality, it would completely offset my salary, and then I could go do consulting work part time, do 6 months on, 6 months off, and be great.
Put your slippers on, smoking jacket, pipe. You're good to go.
Sounds good to me, Bobby. That's, for 25 years, and then you can work as much or as little as you like on the projects you feel like doing.
Of course.
That sounds awesome to me. That, my friend, is freedom. And that doesn't require millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's, relatively speaking, small potatoes, but I would be very comfortable at that stage.
I think they take an average age of buyout and they just give you, I think, half of that or something as the buyout. So it's worth it up front, I guess, if you really want the money. But
no, totally. But I'm saying if you have the ability, it's 25 years. Well, they'll pay it out. Where it's like, given that it's tax-free, it's really good. If you have the ability to sit back. And by the way, that's why I say, I wouldn't just rest on my laurels. No, I'd still work. But then I'd work very selectively, jobs that interest me, be able to do my thing. Like I said, 6 months on, 6 months on. Hell, I'll live in Vegas for 6 months of the year.
Probably.
It'd be fun for me.
Yeah.
Especially during the cold months.
You would spend a few weeks, wouldn't you?
Listen, during the cold months,
literally.
During the cold months, it is not a bad thing. Just win once in a while and you'll be fine. All right, so here, Robert says, let's talk in 10 years. Yeah, well, they're 20 years in, so 10 more years, why not? We'll give them 10 more.
Someone should start a show in Vegas. Honestly, I just want to go down. I want to check it out.
There is a show, from what I heard, there's a show in Vegas. I don't think it's like one of the big ones, but I got to look into it more. But I think there is a show in Vegas, like a consistent one now.
Because we'd like to get out of Dodge sometime soon in the near future. And
Bobby, let's just say it correctly. We just want an excuse to go to Vegas, and we just need a justification. It's like, just give us a damn justification.
I'll find that show.
Card show, sure. Yeah. It's either that or Pawn Stars visiting the Pawn Star store. I don't care. Just pick one. What if Chumley's there?
Oh, Whippy.
Yeah. I would watch the world.
Did he get arrested? I don't know.
Probably. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Look, I avoided that tourist trap the first time around. I'll be fine. So Paul wants to watch the world burn. As do I, Paul. As do I. You and I think alike on this matter. It's like Schrodinger's. Appreciate the reference. McDavid rookie card. I like it. I like McDavid, but they're gonna have to fix something over there. Either McDavid gets out or Edmonton fixes it. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. They need to fix it.
They have one great player and not that much helping behind.
But I'm saying I'm not.
And they had 5-round draft picks, first-round draft picks.
Yeah, I'll be nice. I'll be nice to Paul and the loyal Edmonton Oilers fans. I'll be nice to them. If they could, they're going to have to fix something there though, because what they're doing isn't working. Whatever that is, it's not working.
Bring Gretzky back.
Bring Gretzky back. Yeah. Yeah. Most people agree that the likelihood is going to be this. Most likely that's how it's going to play out.
But get a lot from McDavid.
You could, but it's not going to fix your long-term problem that you are not in a position to, like, if this is your solution, every time you get a generational player, you have to throw him out eventually or he'll leave. Like, you're not going in, you may as well fold the franchise at that point. What's the point? Like, you're not accomplishing anything. The Penguins, as much as I like making fun of them, they eventually made something out of their 5,000 first-round draft picks. Eventually, they made something out of it. It only took them the goaltender, Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, Marc-Andre Fleury. It only took 1 billion first-round draft picks and luck and Mario Lemieux threatening people. Like, I don't know. Something.
Just get a team that plays well together, and it's not a bunch of superstars.
Oh, that's right. Gretzky left to be an analyst because Wayne Gretzky is well known for being a very verbose man with great insights on the game.
Mm-hmm.
If he has more than 3 things to say consecutively, I will be impressed. I'll be watching. I'll be curious. That actually reminded me here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So going back, I am going to grab the Vezina. You said it was PWCC, right?
It is, yes.
Okay, I will look it up here. But I want to show this. These are cards that in the scenario, if SGC ever got their act together, these would be prime candidates, but right now they're still not. These are ones that are scheduled to come in, and they play into kind of the themes I've been talking about. Here's my buddy Juan Soto. I love these Spectre cards. I just like the Rainbow Refractory cards. I'm a big fan of those. That's actually his regular rookie card, if memory serves me. So I enjoy the different Spectre designs that they come up with. So that's one of those ones on there. And then this one is going to be good for the local flavor. I think it's this one right here. It's a nice purple, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the purple refractor there. One thing, though, I have to figure out with my good friends at Topps, this is his rookie year. It is Bowman, which is a regular set, but this is not his rookie card. This is considered his prospect card, even though it's the same year as his rookie card, even though he's wearing a Jays uniform, even though it's a Major League licensed product.
Wow.
Victor! There are rules for why they can't call this one the rookie card, but it just makes me laugh. It's like, it's the same year as his regular Bowman rookie card. It's literally the same year. 2019. They're the same year.
We need a specialist in on this one.
Exactly. But I did laugh, but I'm like, I still like it. I think it's a nice card. I think it's a pretty card. So it's, in theory, they would look great in that holder. Not worth the $30 for me to bother,
No.
but it would look lovely with the black border around it. It would look beautiful.
I think they'll come down with their price.
Yeah, they'll have to. I think that's what, and honestly, they need a bulk rate, like a proper bulk rate again. If they get a proper bulk rate, we'll talk again. At like $15 a card, I could see it. I could see it.
That's
$30 a card, I can't. It's got to be the right card then. If it's $30, it's got to be a different card. Those aren't going to qualify.
Oh, that makes sense for everybody. And same thing with PSA. What are they going to do with their prices? Are they going to come back to a regular normal? Or?
Well, no, but the difference though is PSA, I already know if I put those cards in PSA 10s, they go up by a factor of 10 in value. Like, I already know this. So it's like, you can argue that the potential value turnaround by putting it in that holder is so much greater that it's like, okay, now I can sort of see it. Yeah. With the other one, it's like, if there's almost no value gain, if I can barely make back the value of my grading, that's not great. So it's like I said earlier, it's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
If you're not going to, you could send 1 billion cards to them. if the buyers are like, I'm not paying a premium, the sellers eventually are going to be like, so then why am I sending that in? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The sellers are going to react to what the buyers are doing. If the buyers are like, I won't give you a premium, they're like, okay, so why would I pay this extra? That doesn't make any sense.
It's funny, when I was talking to Golden about submitting those cards, they said, yeah, it has to be SGC, Beckett, or PSA.
Now, was it C57 you said?
Yep.
C57.
1913.
Yep, I got you. And this was a completed auction, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, no, it's an ongoing.
Oh, it's still ongoing? Okay,
it's a buy it now.
Okay, I got you. Hold on. Then
if high is first, you'll probably get it.
I'll backtrack here. Give me 1 second.
I think they wish it was completed.
Okay, so is this 4?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So 1 second here.
Yeah, a friend of mine's been looking for a 3 for a while.
Okay, so here it is.
We need to
C57.
17 grand.
Yeah, so I'll zoom in on the card. There you go.
Can we get better?
Yep. One thing I'll say, by the way, we all make fun of PWCC, and deservedly so, to be fair.
Yep.
At least they take decent scans. So thank you for that. Whoever at
They're
PWCC.
not super high res, though.
You can get the super high res if you go down in the auction. Here. View high res. See?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and if you click on it, go. That's a tip. If you guys ever do PWCC, you got to scroll down. You got to go into the auction itself. That's how you get the super high res. So you can get this.
So yeah, so that's a 4. I didn't really even look at the back. I just looked at the front.
Yeah.
My friend's looking for a 3, and then he's going, this 4 is. I said,
Yeah. So you can manipulate it a little bit, and you can get. There you go. So you see what I'm saying? It's a little tricky to maneuver. You have to forgive me. It's tough with the mouse that I'm trying to play with. But the point is, you can really zoom in. Like, you can super zoom in on it. Actually, let me switch over. Sorry. Let me switch over to this other screen here, so you'll be able to see what I'm looking at a little better.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you go to SGC itself, PWCC, itself, you can actually see the same lot, but then you can manipulate the actual zoom on this.
There it is. Okay.
So you see that?
Nice.
So you can actually play around with it. So if you want a better res scan, you can totally get it, but you have to scroll down, click on it, and then you can expand it. Look at the front and the back, look at the corners and everything. They do take a pretty high res scan. So it is actually nice. I don't know if that's enough to justify these fees and the service for whatever, but as a buyer, it is helpful for me to have better information, better scans, better images. It makes my life easier.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So just bear that in mind. We can knock them all we want, but at least this is one thing that they do better than 99.9% of eBay sellers.
Oh, I don't knock them at all.
Yeah. So for this one, I will give them their credit, and I think they deserve, and I think deservedly so. So what do you feel about it? Does that make sense to you? Like, I'm not in that market, but
oh no, I just wanted you to look at the front bottom edge.
The front bottom edge. Okay, hold on. Let me go back here and I'll zoom in on it. The front bottom edge. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second here.
I took a picture of it. I could probably share my screen and really get a high res look.
Yeah, 1 second. Let's give this a try. We'll see what we can do here.
We'll see how good it comes up.
Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit. Let's see if I can. Yeah, so you definitely, so I can see right here, you have what almost looks like paper loss a little bit. I think it's actually on top. I don't think it's paper loss. I'd have to see the card in person. Obviously, the tilting would help with the light.
Sure.
But it almost feels like, but it does feel like a staining. It does look like a paper loss. I would wonder if maybe it's from a scrapbook or something.
The back looks pretty clean, so
no, I get you. But it's on the front though. We got to remember it's on the front. So something weird is going on here. Like I said, it could be paper loss. If it is legitimate paper loss, then you're right. The 4 doesn't make sense. Another thing I don't like here is I don't like this print line here, like these dots.
Yeah.
Like now, mind you, in a 4, this is probably still
fine.
okay. In a 4, this is acceptable. I will say it does have a clean image. Otherwise, all things considered, like.
Oh, it's a nice looking card.
This is clean pretty much. Like for a black and white picture, basically. It's not that bad.
But that's
I do agree for the bottom
rookie.
it's off. I do agree for the bottom it seems off. I'll agree with that. Now, quick thing I'll point out, this is what I was asking about earlier. This is an old PSA holder.
Oh, is it?
And I think it was Robert who was asking about a mantle, and he had a similar question about it. I took a look at it, and my big thing that I was looking into, what I was trying to make sure about, is because he had the mantle, and then he also had found another, and he had found the card at Golden, and he was trying to figure out if something had gone wrong or there was some shadiness. So I tried to compare the two cards. I look for certain indicators on the card because this is what you're trying to do. First, for me, I'm just trying to verify it's the same card first. I understand it's in the holder, but I want to make sure nothing got swapped out. There's nothing wrong. There's no shadiness. So I looked for it. I found certain dots in certain places, certain markings, certain indicators because the front of it was scuffed up a little bit. And his question was, for the grade, does it make sense for it to be this scuffed up? I went to the PSA definition, and it does allow for some scuffing. And I think it was for a PSA 3 if memory served me. I'm going from memory right now. But I think for a PSA 3, it allowed for some scuffing. So the card definitely had that. In my opinion, it was overgraded. But I also looked at it and said that the holder was an old holder. So you have to remember that they might have been real loose with their definition on it at the time. Because I've seen a lot of ones in old holders that are that the number grade is very generous for the card in the holder. This is an older holder. So just bear that in mind. That may be compromising the grade compared to what it would be if it was in a lighthouse holder today.
Okay.
Just throwing that at you.
Yeah, I got a nice resolution. I'll bring you, share my screen here.
No
share screen. Share screen.
So I forget the old number, Jeff, but that's tip number 3605 probably. Be careful of the old PSA holders. I wouldn't reject the card because I think their authenticity, I think they still did a good job with that. But you might get some looser grading on it. So I wouldn't pay necessarily full price if it's an old PSA holder. I might hold back a little bit and offer a little bit less, in my opinion, for a vintage card in those older holders.
Yeah. Can you see that? I can't see.
Nothing yet. I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh, no?
No. I don't have it in front of me. It'll give me a little separate window box to do this chair.
Oh, okay, there we go. Let's get out of here.
Now you're getting something. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's consistent with what I'm talking about. It does look like there's definitely some damage there at the bottom for sure. And this is what, a 4, right?
That's a 4, yeah.
Yeah. So PSA card. Let's see.
So we got across the whole bottom there. It's almost like a stain or chipping. But then you're missing part of the A at the bottom there. Jumps up and comes down. So at that point, if it's staining to that, it's an overstain, so it would be glue on there. And glue you take off, basically it'll be paper loss at that point. So yeah, I would say this is more like a 2.
Okay.
There's a couple lines in here.
So let's do something here. I'm with you there. I get the general idea here. Let's do something here. I'll just drop it off for 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. So this is PSA's own site. This is from them. So they give you the definition. They don't include anything about paper loss. So totally with you there. Now, here's the thing. This is the example they're using. And the examples aren't always the best, but this is the example they're using. Now, here's the thing. This is like scuffing, but it borders on paper loss if you look at it.
I wouldn't call that scuffing.
What would you like to call it? It's basically a scratch at the bare minimum.
Oh, at the base bare minimum, sure.
Yeah.
It's not a scratch because it's going all across the bottom here. So it's obviously, it's not chipping. It's not scuffing because scuffing doesn't go up and kind of come down around.
No, I understand. What I'm asking you is about the mantle on the screen. I'm pointing to this top corner here, and what I'm asking you about.
Oh, I'm still in Vesna mode. Sorry about that.
Gotcha. I'm actually using PSA's own sample image as an example. What I'm asking you is take a look here at this thing, and in this corner.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. This thing right here. This is like a scratch, a scuff to the point that it's basically some of the paint is chipped off the top.
Yeah.
And this is an example they're using for a 4. Now, again, not apples to apples, but what I'm trying to point out is sometimes you got to look at what their standard is. And this is what it is today.
I get it.
Look at the sample in it and try to figure out and try to extrapolate. But then also bear in mind they were super loose with it back in the days of the serial number starting with 1.
I understand.
So take their current, where you're seeing some stuff in there that's a little bit, I don't know if I'd consider that a 4. That's their sample. They're showing you on their site. Mm-hmm. And then extrapolate that they were really loose with it at the time of the 1.
Yep.
So just factor all the above and then, adjust your pricing strategy accordingly.
Well, yeah, for a 4 and 17K.
Yeah. It's one of those things though. Like anybody can ask anything they want.
Sure.
If I'm a buyer, I have to factor that in and say to myself, the number one question is, how bad do I want it? That's the question. How bad do you want it? Secondly, does it make sense? Can you justify it? And what I mean by justify it is simply this. Can you live with it if you overpaid?
At 17K? No.
That's what I'm asking the question. So then at that point, you say to yourself, okay, you can't live with it. What price can you live with it? Because then you're like, okay, guys, so this is what I can offer you. Whatever that number is. I don't know what it is.
Price.
Yeah, whatever. So you just adjust yourself accordingly though. Then that's the offer you make.
See, that's a good 2.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You have to be able to. It's the same as the comp conversation I had earlier. I don't care what the going rate is based on what's on the holder. My question is, for that card, what am I willing to offer? That's the question.
That's it.
And depending on your answer to that question, then that's the offer you need to make.
It almost should be every time.
A lot of people aren't comfortable being that discerning though. They just want to trust the holder. They just look at it because it's easier. It's lazier. It's easier. It requires less effort, less work.
That's why you pay for the grading, I guess.
Yeah. But if you're the buyer and you want to be discerning, you have to say like, hey, look, I understand what the going rate is for 4.
Yeah.
In my assessment, that is not a 4. So I can't pay for a 4. If you present me a 4, I'll pay for a 4.
Well, most certainly. Yeah. Everybody has to make that decision. Mm-hmm. That's a big decision at that price.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people who have enough money where there's always a possibility somebody walks by and says, all right, PSA 4 sounds good. Click.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then a comp is established. And then it basically reinforces because it becomes we joke about the Harold Baines thing. Well, if Harold Baines made the Hall of Fame, then this guy should make the Hall of Fame. This guy should make the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
Well, if you get a comp and say, well, that looks like a crummy 4, but it sold for 17K. Therefore, a properly graded 4 should go for 24K.
Clark Gillies made the Hall of Fame, so I won't go there.
So you're saying Ziggy still has a chance?
Maybe. I would say that was the one reference you can make that Ziggy could have a possibility.
We always have to give Ziggy a chance, Bobby. Mm-hmm. The people demand the goat of goats is recognized. One day.
Anyways, it was just an observation. A friend sent me that, and I just went, wow.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's a reasonable question. It's always a fair question to ask, but I think it's still a good exercise because people need to think about the lesson here isn't the specific card. The card doesn't matter. The specific card does not matter. The process, the thought process that we just outlined here is the important one because it's like, look, I don't care what the grade says. Look at the card.
Yeah.
Please look at the card and then make a decision.
I think a lot more people have been doing that now lately. So it's good.
Well, one would keep hoping, but I find the easiest bet in the world is I just keep betting against you. Like the general you. Like, I don't think you're getting smarter. I disagree. I think the stupidity is exactly where it was before. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, I believe that, but I also believe that people have learned to look more at the card and what they can get. Maybe if they change it out, send it back in again, shine it up, take the fingerprints off. We saw the videos.
We'll revisit after somebody buys that one for 17K, puts it back up, and it sells for $185,000.
Then I'll be surprised.
There you go. Exactly. Just keep shifting it all the way up. Let's 10x it by next weekend. Let's do it.
Our influencers, you know that.
Of course. Oh, let me quickly tell a story. So quick thing, guys. We'll hang out and we'll chill for a little bit longer. I'm going to refill my drink in a minute. But before I do, if there's anything you guys want to talk about or chat about, throw it in the chat. Let us know. And first, let me share a quick story of our good friend eBay. So obviously I've been buying on eBay. I've been doing my thing, so I found some stuff that has amused me. So that's good. And later on, I'll explain where all those fall in those buckets. Separate video. We'll do it later, but there is a rationale for all of those and I'll explain it at that time. However, so I finally got past the point. I had squeezed every last drop of blood from the stone, Bobby. I did every last PayPal transaction that eBay would let me to. And D-Day came. Okay. eBay was like, that's it. You may use this PayPal no more. You must use managed payments. And I'm like, no. Yes. But I sold my cars right at the end. I sold my cars right at the end. I did one more sale before that deadline. One more. I got it in.
It's funny. I did the same thing as you. I had an auction. I ran it 10 days. And the Monday it started the managed payment. And the Sunday night the auctions went off. Yeah. So all the PayPal came through.
Yeah. I had one more.
Actually, because it was sold the day before, all the PayPal still had to come through. They couldn't do the managed payments.
Yeah, so. I was running it right to that deadline. I was trying to get right to the end. So anyway, so I did get that sale in, got the stuff sent off. They're happy, positive feedback, happy. Everybody's happy. Wonderful. Fantastic. So now we're at this page. So we'll go to the point. So Hockey Guy here is saying, I hope you get the reference. Was it the Inside Edition thing? Was it with what's his name? He was a pundit for Fox News for a little while, but there was he lost his temper and he kept trying to do this same promo over and over again. And he finally starts swearing. And he goes, "We'll do it live." I don't know if that was the reference you're referring to, but that's the one I remember. But anyway, I'll explain.
Got fired or let go?
Here we go. Bill O'Reilly. Okay, so it was the one I was thinking. Bill O'Reilly. Okay, so it was the one I was thinking. It was Inside Edition. So he did eventually get fired. Here you go. Exactly. Correct. There you go. So I'm on the same wavelength, Hockey Guy. We got it. I'm on the same wavelength. I got it. Okay. So anyway, so I had gotten the last transaction in. Everything's good. All good. So finally, I'm like, I acquiesce to this eBay request. I don't want to do it. Like, I really don't. It's a pain in the ass. I don't feel like it. I don't want to connect a bank account. I don't want any of that nonsense. But I said, fine. eBay's still a big platform. I've got more Vladimir Guerreros to sell, for God's sake. Like, let me see what I can do. So I start going through the process or whatever. I set up an account specifically for this. I do the same thing I did with PayPal. I'm like, okay, fine. Let me set something up that is completely isolated from everything else because I don't want any issues. I want you completely separated so you're not messing with my regular accounts I'm doing real banking with. I want this in its own universe. Great. So I set it up. I start punching in the numbers. Fine. Then I get to the section. They're like, oh, can you submit a statement? I'm like, these are all electronic online accounts, and I just made it. There is no statement, you morons.
Really?
They're like, oh, you just have to attach a PDF. I'm like, you're idiots. I'm like, I just created this account explicitly for this purpose. It doesn't even have a transaction on it, let alone a statement. So I'm like...
They're very sneaky, because they asked for my driver's license, which I gave.
Yeah.
Then they came back a day or so later and said, oh, we need more information. We need your social insurance number. And I went, oh,
look,
you're digging too deep.
I hate eBay in this sense. eBay serves this purpose, but you guys have to understand, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, hate eBay. Like, I detest it. It's so irritating to deal with a lot of the times. And the thing is, the last thing in the planet that I want to do is give them access to a bank account. Any bank account. Under any circumstance. I just don't want to at all. So I find myself in this precarious position where I'm like, okay, so here is this platform where I could potentially do some more business. I've got some cards that I know will sell. I can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then I have to go through this whole rigmarole. Look at the driver's license thing, the paperwork, all that stuff. Look, I have online gambling sites. I have a bunch of things. I have for cryptocurrency, for all that stuff. You need to do a lot of that stuff too. I work at a bank. I understand the necessity for paperwork to do certain things. I, of all people, should understand this. I do understand it. I just don't like eBay and don't trust them with the account. I would rather do it for the online betting thing, which I did. I had less trouble giving them paperwork.
Yeah, isn't it funny?
I had no issue. None. And you know what? I have had no problems. If I want to get a payment, I get it. I can even get my payment in cryptocurrency, Bobby. I can even get my payment in crypto. I pay myself in Bitcoin.
Nice.
So it's like, I can have the best of both worlds and then convert it into Canadian dollars if I want to. No problem. No issues. No must. Anytime I've called customer service, yeah, no problem. We can fix that for you. Here you go. Okay, all good.
You can actually open a U.S. Based account and hook it into eBay as a Canadian.
No, totally. It's not that I can't do it. My point is, I just don't want to. And I keep running into that same brick wall. As soon as let's put it this way, I put in everything, I did all that stuff, and the second they asked me for paperwork, I'm like, you know what? A bridge too far, sir. I just don't feel like doing it. Deposit the account. You've already got this number. You've got access to whatever. No, I'm not giving you a statement. I'm not doing it.
I know. I hate it.
Yeah, it's like I was actually I saw on Facebook Steve Angel that we know. He literally has, I think from what I gathered from his statement, he is selected not to. And I think eBay called him.
Oh, really?
I think he said that eBay called him and basically asked him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they were basically because he does business through eBay. Like he's got a store and he's sold a ton of stuff through there over the years. And they're basically like, well, why don't you want to sell anything on the platform anymore? Because he didn't switch to managed payments. That's the inference I got. I'm going to ask him directly. I'll confirm. But that's the understanding I got from reading that message. And he basically laid into the person who called him. And it's funny because I got a call today and I did a search on the number. And apparently sometimes that number is from a person talking about eBay managed payments.
Wow.
So they might have given me a call earlier today. And I was like, no, I'm working. I'm doing my 5 minutes of work a day. Sir, madam, you're distracting me. But it's like, not during the work day, not when I'm busy. Forget that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would be very funny if they asked me, like, oh, why are you such eBay management? Because I'm not sending you any paperwork.
That's it.
You want to link it to an account? Knock yourself out. I gave you an account that you can have access to that I don't care about. Feel free. You want me to jump through hoops? No.
I know.
The answer is no.
I hate the conversion in and out. That's the only problem that bothers me. So I do have to start an American account. I just want to see how this goes.
Yeah. And
then I'll start a new account, and hopefully I can change it over. Hopefully it'll be flawless. Otherwise I'll have to start a new account, or I don't know. I don't want to do that. I got great, perfect feedback. So
yeah, but it's one of those things where like, if I just wanted a US based account, I have one. Like I do. I have one that can convert in and out of American dollars with like no problem. I have it. I even have a US debit card. I have a US credit card. I have the whole works.
Oh.
Yeah. Remember, I work at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all that. Had it for years. Nice. When I go to the States, I can use a US debit card. It all works perfectly fine. That's not an issue. But the thing is that, but it's like, no, I'm not giving you access to that account. Yeah. That account is for my purposes. When I want to use it, I set up a different one specifically that still does US denomination. That's all fine. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it doesn't have but it's an online account only. It doesn't have statements. I can't pull you a statement that doesn't exist. So I have to wait at least a month and put some kind of a deposit into it. So it does it. But the problem is they consolidate the statements. So it gives you access information about all my other accounts. And I'm like, so I got to sit there and be like, redacting.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Mm-mm.
No, that's too much work for so little gain. I'm like, no, thank you. So I think we'll see what happens. I'm probably going to, I'm going to think about it and see what I can do. See if there's another way I can do this. If not, I'll go to Instagram. I'll use other platforms. I'll use Facebook, whatever, because if somebody wants to buy this stuff, I'd rather just deal directly and then save the fees and not bother with all that nonsense. I'm not doing it.
I honestly think there is a way sort of around it. Is if somebody lived close to you and you wanted to drop the card off, he's a regular buyer, he always picks up from you, you just mark it as paid. And they can go through PayPal and hit you directly without going through the instant payment.
Yeah. I gotta see. Like, I'm gonna think about what my options are. But like I said, eBay has for years made this increasingly more annoying for the seller. And I'm like, you're not improving things. This would be my feedback. You are not improving this. I don't care how you want to sell it. I didn't ask for it. I don't want it. PayPal works fine. And you used to own PayPal.
The stock market works for it.
Yeah. It's like, if you really wanted to do this, why didn't you just keep PayPal? You already owned them. Just keep it.
Yeah.
It was working fine. Idiots. So that's my rant on eBay today. So quickly, I know you guys had a bunch of comments on eBay, so I'll quickly read through them here. So calling eBay customer service is a gong show. Agreed. No idea if you ever had to do it. I did once. It is a nightmare. I agree with that. To say eBay customer service sucks is being unfair to customer service that actually sucks. Yes. So Paul here, had one run in 4 hours of my life I'll never get back. I had to tell him to go fly a kite. Called the account I've set up with PayPal and transaction was reversed in 30 seconds. Yes. That's been the feedback a lot of people have. They actually call PayPal and then PayPal just fixes it for them and eBay's the problem.
Yes.
All the time. Or a $15 card that had tracking it showed arrived in town not with nothing. Forget about it a couple of months and then called it in. eBay is great at driving customers away. Yes.
They have been,
Yep.
and they could be so smart and be a flourishing business if they would just drop their fees down again and make it a little bit more buyer seller friendly and put on the high bidding. We were talking PWCC, you have to qualify for this auction because we know this card should sell for in and around this price. If you 50 grand, if you're good past 50 or 100 grand, okay, let's see it.
No, I get it. But that was the thing, is that all as straightforward as it gets. I kept trying to keep it really simple. I hate 99% of what eBay does, but all you have to do, don't force me to take your stupid managed payments. Just leave me alone. I will put up with all your other idiocy because I'm selling stuff on the platform. Like I was doing a fine little business I'm not a big volume seller.
No.
But when I've got some stuff and I know I can move it, like just give me a break. Some of the stuff I was putting on, like I said, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is really hot right now. I would put it up with a buy it now with best offer, and I would have it sold in 24 hours. I would get like multiple offers, pick the one that I like the most. And sometimes I would pick not the highest offer, but the highest offer that was in Canada just to make my shipping easier,
Yeah, sure.
make my life easier. But I'd still get a really good offer, a decent offer. We're done.
Yeah.
Sale complete. They make the payment. I receive the payment. Everybody's happy. I have some PayPal credit account available. And guess what? I can go make my next purchase.
Yeah.
I can consolidate some of these sales, get everything shipped off. And then all of a sudden, boom, I have a nice little nest egg to be able to go make my next move, either for personal collection or otherwise.
Yeah. And that's what I did as I stocked up the PayPal account with a few grand and said, I'll leave it there and we'll just play with it until it runs out.
Yep. And that's, to me, is a mistake. I think it's a bad experience that you're making it harder when it's like, guys, look, I've put up with all your other idiocy, but this is a bridge too far. Like that would be my feedback. Like this is a bridge too far. Do not mess with the payments.
Yes.
That's the part I care about. This other idiocy, I can deal with almost all of it, but do not mess with the payments. This is a very simple thing.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So eBay loves to kiss buyers' ass and wonders why sellers are leaving. Yes. Basically Amazon, but use the seller's money instead of their own. Yeah. No, I get it.
It's interesting. I wonder what the percentage of people who not selling on eBay now and what the drop was comparatively speaking to the entries that they made from taking the payments. So they probably accounted for a certain offset. I wonder if they're off on that percentage.
I would be curious to see what those numbers would look like. The reality is, I believe that for some sellers, the fee itself is probably equivalent or lower. I don't think that part's an issue. My point has always been this: I don't care if you take the fee down. I would rather pay a higher fee to keep PayPal because of simplicity. Because I know exactly where the money's going. If there's an issue, I know exactly how to deal with it. I will pay the middleman. This is one of those situations where if you allow me to opt, if you say manage payments with 5% less fees, or you can stay on PayPal, I will take the 5% extra fees. It's the devil I know. I already know how to deal with them. I can pick up the phone and fix any issues I have. Just leave me alone.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah. But as I was saying, like if you leave the decision in my hands, well, then great. Then maybe I do manage payments. Maybe I don't. But you give me the choice.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to sit in their boardroom a few times and just sit there and go, So how can we make money next time?
Yeah. Well, that's what it's going to be. So
they'll up the fees.
I will explore some of the other, like a lot of other folks. I will explore my other options are try to find some opportunities here.
There's lots of options. Don't worry.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't need the aggravation. I just don't. When it was simple enough, it worked. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. So we'll deal with it. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. So anyway, I think that's good.
Yeah.
So what we'll do here is we'll wind her down. Any last minute comments, feel free to throw them in there. We can definitely do that. We did enjoy complaining about our eBay. We did talk about HobbyPalooza. We chatted about the Jordan PWCC sale poll. That was fun. That was good times. And we'll see. I think we mentioned before, I think news stories in the hobby are going to be sparse going forward. I think we'll get a story or two a week, maybe, if something happens. That can totally be the case. I will look forward to the discussion tonight because now we are into Saturday, those of us on the East Coast. Tonight, I look forward to that discussion with hobby heavyweights, Karvin, Beckett, Chris from Card Ladder, and other people. So I look forward to that discussion. So that'll be interesting. About sustainability.
Yes. Wasn't it the state of the hobby?
No, sustainability in the hobby. Specifically, sustainability in the hobby. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we need to know how to
leads to the state of the hobby.
I guess so. I don't know if they'll be that pronounced, but I suppose they can try. I guess it depends on how long it is, because it says 5 p.m., but it makes no statement on how long it's going to be. How much time do they get? I don't know.
Yeah, because it actually affects the manufacturers. It affects everybody down every row. The grading, manufacturing, everything. So, the surge affected them, and a bit of recession is affecting for sure.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'll make a prediction. I'll read these comments here in a second, guys. But I'm going to make a prediction.
Oh.
It is a shame to me. I'm saying in advance, it is a shame to me that I don't think that they're going to leverage Karvin properly in this discussion, because he is a great guy to have on this panel, because he is on the distributor side of things. Mm-hmm. And he does have a stake in the sustainability of the hobby, because he's right in the middle between the dealers and the manufacturers. He is involved in that piece. So he, more than anybody else, for their business, sustainability is paramount. It is really important for them, for the sustainability to be a real thing. They need it. It's important. Yeah. Beckett, he can have his opinion, whatever. I don't care.
Personal opinion.
It's fine. Chris likes to be very analytical. I think he'll throw some thoughts in there, but he will defer. To be honest, I think prediction, I think he'll say a couple of pieces, but he'll defer a lot to what Beckett will say. He'll defer a lot to Karvin. To me, in this conversation, I would lean a lot on Karvin, a little bit less on Beckett. You can get some flavor from Chris, but that's going to be up to the moderator. If Jeremy's going to play moderator, he's going to have to make sure that he evens out how you distribute that. I would lean heavily on Karvin if it was me doing it. That would be my approach. I would talk with Beckett a little bit to get some historical context, and if he wants to offer some opinions, get that. Included Chris a little bit in there, but that would be the order in which I would do it if it was me. Strictly my opinion, that's how I would approach it. How they decide to do it. And in that same vein, if I'm the moderator in that situation, if I'm a moderator, honestly, I should be talking the least. I should be posing questions, and you guys go for it. Mm-hmm. I'll be here to kind of help, be the traffic cop. You got to be the traffic cop and the question asker. You want to give your 2 cents? Keep it short, because right now you're a moderator. You got to play that role. That's how I think. I don't know how they're going to play it.
I think though, going forward, they're going to have to, say some good things and keep the spirits up. All isn't doom and gloom. There's still the hobby's still out there. Will it shoot up to where it was before? I don't believe it will. As I stated in March, I don't believe it would, and I don't see any reason why it would at this point. But it's still, like you said, it's at a great high for all the people who came in prior to the investor run.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of us who are sitting on cards for more than 2 years ago that are like, great.
Yeah.
This is going great for us so far.
Oh yeah.
This is awesome, guys.
So people are happy.
Yeah. So quickly, I'll touch on these ones here. So when they started managed payments originally, they forced our eBay store into it, and our sales dropped like the Titanic. Yeah, I believe it.
Yes.
Which is weird though, because to be honest, a lot of the sellers that I deal with who have managed payments, like as a buyer, I don't notice the difference. Because as a buyer, I can still do PayPal. I can still do credit card. I can still do whatever. The payments are the same for me as the buyer, sorry.
I think a lot of people didn't want to do it, and they got away from it. So that would lessen your customers in a percentage.
It could be.
Just that alone.
But I get it. But I'm saying as a buyer, my experience doesn't change fundamentally. Like I really haven't experienced any issue as a buyer. As a buyer,
it's easy.
Pick the option you want, press the button, and you're done.
Yeah.
Whatever. So Robert says, Comsy comment. I ordered cards to be shipped me for the first time, estimated middle of October, 4 months. We'll see if they manage that. So I have one that's in the second fastest tier, not the fastest, but the second fastest. So I have it by express post, included, customs included, because I didn't want that surprise again. I said, fine, I'll include customs. They say it's been over a month. They say they will ship it to me by July the 2nd. So I'm still a couple of weeks away from shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Soon. Ooh, I'm so excited. It'll be almost a month.
The antivision.
Oh man, we'll see. So here you go. I too look forward for the blowing of smoke up behinds. Accurate. Paul says Beckett likes to keep it short, so I say under an hour. For Beckett, yes, probably. Beckett may leave early, probably. When managed payments were new, you couldn't use PayPal or other forms of payments. No, I get that. That makes sense. That makes more sense to me. You can now, though. So, like, if you're still around, you can definitely use PayPal. It has worked so far. Again, as a buyer. As a seller, it still blows. To be clear, as a seller, it still sucks. But as a buyer, I have a whole list of options. I can pick any of them. I already have some cards preloaded. Whatever. I can pick PayPal if I want to. All those options are available to me. Mm-hmm. So you may put out a half-baked idea or project. They would never. I sense sarcasm, hockey guy. And I appreciate some good sarcasm. I'm always a fan.
They did ever. Or did they ever? Mm-hmm.
He says they would never.
Did they ever?
I think half the stuff they're doing of half-baked ideas at this point. They got to start baking some of these a little bit more.
I think they went further on this one than any other thing they've ever done.
Agreed, but I don't think to the better. I wish they would put their energies into better stuff.
They could do that easily.
Yeah, like I still think this is a hill that they should not have died on. This is the one they should have let go. All they need to do is ask the sellers. Ask the sellers. And they would have told you, like, we don't want this. Leave us alone.
Sellers don't sit on the board of directors.
No. Eventually, you're going to need somebody to sell product for you to make your fees. Mm-hmm. Your final value fees don't happen if you don't have sales. Somebody's got to sell. Some people will just deal with it and take it, and some of the people will lose their patience.
The problem with this part is there's no turning back.
Yeah. No. That part I agree with 100%.
So you're all in, or you're just going to lose. You'll have attrition. They're going to naturally have attrition. I just wonder if they've accommodated enough for that. Like, okay, we're going to probably get attrition of 5%. It might be 15. It might be 20.
Oh, one of two things will happen. And this will be the more interesting question. I'll leave this for us to think about and percolate on until the next time we speak. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we do it on Fridays, 9:30. If the time changes later on, we'll let you know. It's been scrolling at the bottom of the screen the whole time. Mm-hmm. Whole time we've been here, date and time, it's all there. One thing I was going to say, though, this will be something for us to percolate on until the next time we speak. If, eventually, this drives enough sellers off the platform, we don't know how many it's going to, but now, obviously, it's hit all of us. The wave has finally gotten to us. I can speak personally that the wave is here. If enough sellers go in, then eventually the amount of product starts reducing. You can't find as much stuff. It becomes a less attractive platform to find stuff. Therefore, the buyers go looking elsewhere to find their stuff. And if that happens, all of a sudden liquidity on eBay becomes a problem. Because the one advantage eBay had was eyeballs. If you lose the eyeballs, the problem begins. And quick analogy of how this works. I mentioned earlier, my early hobby experiences were in a flea market. The thing with that flea market is that as long as there were tons of foot traffic, it was good for everybody. It didn't matter what ridiculous thing you were selling, what knickknacks, what garbage. People sold basically garbage. But some of them had thriving businesses because there was tons of foot traffic. And then once people discovered you, some of them would come back regularly. They're like, oh, I didn't know there was a guy who sold like DVDs and Blu-rays, and they've got some new stuff, and they've got like, because they also had a store, and then they would run some miscellaneous inventory in there. They would sell music, they would sell vinyl, they would sell all kinds of stuff. But because they had a store during the rest of the week, they would bring a bunch of the stuff over, but they had good stuff. It wasn't garbage. It's like, you got new music, you got rap music. Like, these are all new. It's like, yeah. And it'd be cheaper than the other one because they would buy it by the case, or they'd get extra or whatever, and they'd sell it at the flea market. Well, then they'd have regular customers that come in to get the new music. They would go to the new bin and grab through it. Consistent business, Saturday and Sunday. Well, eventually, and they even had tours where they would bring people to that outlet mall. You know the one I'm talking about. They would bring them to the outlet mall to come visit and shop. And a bunch of them would run downstairs because there are all kinds of merchants. They'd sell all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Clothes, movies, DVDs. At
Picture
the peak,
frames.
At the peak, there were tons. At the peak, there was tons of traffic. It was
I was
busy.
there at the peak.
It was busy all the time. And I was there through the mid-90s into 2000s. Still good. Still real good. Real good. But that's 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Eventually, traffic starts to dry up, and it's a chicken or the egg, right? Traffic dries up, it becomes less profitable for the dealers the dealers eventually start to drop off. The quality of merchandise and dealers starts to drop off. You end up with more of these open slots.
Yeah.
Then less people are drawn in to come in. One feeds off the other, and eventually the flea market's been closed during pandemic. We know that. But when they reopen, it's a shell. It's going to be a shell of its former self. It's not going to be what it once was.
No.
But for a long time, it was real good. eBay is not a flea market. eBay's bigger, but it doesn't have to be that way forever. Because if you keep siphoning off sellers and you keep siphoning off buyers, eventually who's going to buy what from whom? Who's left?
There's a lot of, let's just say, people who find some stuff and then they start an eBay account and then they go, I don't really want to give my bank account. I could put it on Craigslist or Kijiji, or I could put it on Facebook. I think a lot of people will divert their attention to that because they don't want to start a whole account and do all this other stuff. You know, most people just started an eBay account so they could sell a few things, buy a few things. Now it's like, oh, they want my bank account. I don't want to give them that information. And I know there's a lot of guys who don't like that. And look at all the people they lost who never would give their bank account or PayPal, and they just wanted to write checks or pay cash. There was lots of those years ago. Those guys sort of weeded themselves out. Now we're at that point, and now they change things again. So they change the deal. Now everybody's sitting there going, I don't like my bank account attached to anything. Or I have to make a separate account. I have to start a new account. So you're forcing me to make a new account to protect myself from, you know, because you hook it to your regular bank account and, you know, you have 10, 20, 30 grand in there. And all of a sudden, oh, sorry, somebody, we had to refund, but it was the wrong person. We took out 25,000 out of your account. Oh, and that can happen.
Yeah, but that was
the rarity.
But that's the reason why, even in my attempt, I attempted to comply with this to try to at least have a bare minimum setup. But that's where creating a separate account that's completely isolated from everything else came into play. And even then, they made that too difficult. They made that too onerous. And it's like, look, I'm a technologically savvy guy. The problem isn't that I can't do it. The problem is that I don't have the ability when I just created the account to have a statement that doesn't exist. I can't manufacture something that doesn't exist. So you made it actually, I have to use an established account, and all my established accounts are being used for banking functions. I don't want you anywhere near those.
No.
I have bank accounts that I can use. I'm not going to use those. Nope. Those stay untouched by you. That's a bridge too far. But
it is.
We'll see.
Yep.
Saki guy says here, I had a seller tell me I need managed payments to get a refund from them. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know there was a guy that sells basket woven underwear. Reference to the flea markets. Very important. Just look at shopping malls now. Perfect example of what you're talking about. Yeah. It became a thing. Now shopping malls had another problem in that it actually turns out it's pretty easy to shop for stuff online. I'm not saying yes, I'm saying no. I'll give you one final example, and this is what we'll close on. This plays right into this last comment. So thank you for the comment, and thank you, by the way, for the chat for participating. Really awesome today. Would appreciate if those of you on your way out, if you could hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you have not previously. Would appreciate that. Up to you. Optional, but it is free. Allegedly, it is free. We're not charging it.
Not many things in life are free.
True statement. What I was going to say, though, is that here, down the street, I have a Marks. So if you're in Canada, you're familiar with the brand Marks. And Marks is owned by Canadian Tire that I used to work for. But so down the street, they got the Marks. I actually like the clothes that Marks has. I buy a lot of my clothes from there because it fits, it's good quality, it works for me. It works for my purposes. And you can get it on sale really inexpensively. That part is great for me. If the clothes is decent quality and it's cheap enough, look, I just need it for my purposes and I'm good. Some of the shirts that I have from them have lasted me years. So great stuff. But here's the thing. I can buy it online and I can get it and I can get the same sale price, but I have the store literally right there. It's down the street. I can walk over to it. I'll still order it online. It's more convenient. You know why? They'll ship it to my house and I can have the size I want. I can have the color because every time I walk in the store, they're out of stock, but on the website, they have it in the warehouse. So, and I already know my size. I don't have to try it on. I already know the size because I know their sizing is consistent. So I order the same size that I always order in all the other versions of the same shirt that I bought. Delivered to my house. It's done. Free shipping. Why bother? Why would I even set foot in there then?
Yeah.
It's not their fault. I've been in there once or twice to return some stuff when it just needed to be returned. They're nice enough people. They're nice folks in there. But it doesn't make sense. I don't need to. I can do it all on the website here. Click the button. If I have a coupon, I can use it here online.
Yeah.
It's too convenient. So why would I ever go to the shopping mall? It's the same problem. If I can order the thing in the, oh, what about the Apple store? I can go to apple.ca. I can order, the price is exactly the same. And they'll ship it to my house for free. I don't need to walk in. What for? It's not their fault, but once the convenience hit where you can have everything delivered to your house and it's easier, why bother? Anyway, so that's it. Just something to keep in mind. So the bottom line here is eBay needs to be careful because almost everything can be replaced with the right market, the right format, or the right situation. Don't overdo it. Don't get too smart for yourself. Best things in life are free. Last word to Jeff McMahon. Enjoyed listening to the show. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone else, for hanging out. Thank you, Paul, as well, as always. Have yourselves a good night. Enjoy your Saturday if you're on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, you got a little more time on Friday. Enjoy that too. Take it easy. Have a good one, guys.
Night all.